Hello, I'm Nicholas Jackson.
And I'm Luke Roberts.
And today we have a very special guest with us.
Adam Thorn, otherwise known as Thorny.
And welcome to episode 5. I lost count there for a second. Episode 5 of the Rand Nerds podcast.
Or more kind of 4.5.
Well, yeah, this isn't the Christmas special.
Now this is like a mad dash. Oh my god, we've released it within 3 days. We better make another one.
No, I couldn't believe when that text message came through.
Yeah, what can I say? I was feeling productive.
I know.
I was like, oh wow.
I was going to say, should we switch to a weekly one?
No, just no. I was like, I don't even know how it happened. I'm just kind of sat there. Oh yeah, just go for it. I was like, oh, it's done. Well, okay, fine. And then you're like, hey, let's make another one. I was like, oh, you must be joking. And then here we are.
Yeah.
So we're now making another. Yeah. 4.5 or 5, take your pick.
Yeah, whatever. Right, so let's begin, shall we? Well, if you're all happy for me to head this off.
Go on then, mate.
Sounds good to me.
Games we've been playing. Well, I've been playing this month Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon.
I was going to say, what, Farming Simulator again?
No, not Farming Simulator. I've been playing that this month. No, I have been playing that as well, but not putting it on there. Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon, it's basically... best I can describe is like, you know those old total conversion games you used to get where you say completely convert it. It's based like that of Far Cry. Basically it's a piss take of the 1980s and the films and so forth.
Sounds good.
It is. It's ridiculously... It not only to take the piss of all the films, it takes the piss of all modern games.
I've seen bits of it. I've not played it, but it does look
I've
pretty
seen
cool.
someone lure a T-Rex to an outpost.
That is the Blood Dragons. That is one of the Blood Dragons I series.
insane.
All I've seen is a dude riding a Steel Panther, He-Man style, but shooting lasers everywhere.
Yes,
and
you
that
can get
looked pretty
those.
Cool.
It's ridiculous right from the start. It's set in the futuristic year of 2007.
Wow.
Right, you
So
are
accurate.
No, you are. You are. Well, it's basically like someone had made a Far Cry game in the 1980s.
Yeah, parodying sort of 80s movies.
Yeah,
Good old Terminator
yeah.
2 and that.
You are a cyber commando after basically the world goes to shit. Everybody gets nuked. America makes these cyber commandos who go on and sort of, do
always
American things.
Yeah,
It's always
American.
American things, yeah. But it's just silly. It really is just silly. You go as usual, all these film stuff. You sort of go in, sort of take out these bad guys, only to find that one of your good guys who's turned rogue, and he's going to use the blood dragons to make bioweapons to kill everybody. Usual sort of stuff.
Sounds amazing.
I mean, the art style of it is obviously very 80s, so everything's neon.
Yeah, I was going to say it looked very bright from the...
Yeah, there's a bit in it where you pick up the bow, because it's got the bow in it for Far Cry, and it says it's futuristic because it's neon. I've just covered the bow with neons, and all the arrows are neon as well. And how no one sees
The
you,
whole
I don't
neon
know.
80s vibe seems to be a bit of a thing at the moment, doesn't it? Because, I mean, in cinema as well as in games. I mean, we had the film Drive not that long back, didn't we? Hotline Miami, again, very neon, very 80s.
Yeah.
There seems to be a bit of a thing at the moment.
It does, yeah. And of course, in some respects, Mass Effect was very much based on 80s sci-fi as well, because that was quite sort of... I keep saying neon, but especially what I remember of the 80s, 90s films. And everything's dark. You know how all 80s films, or sci-fi films, are always dark?
It's got the whole Blade Runner thing going on.
Yeah, Blade Runner, RoboCop, Aliens. It's got the chap who who played Hicks in Aliens. He's the main character.
All right. Ah.
And he does all the sort of one-liners. And then it takes the piss out of all modern games as well. So he goes around, when you pick up stuff, he can say things like, well, at least I'm not picking up fucking feathers. And
I like that very much.
yes. And when you start the game and you have your... Now, this is the only bad thing. You get your normal customary tutorial. But the first thing it says on the tutorial is, press enter to prove you can read.
That is a brilliant tutorial. I think I might screw that up.
You might do. And it then says, and it's things like, well, sprinting is faster than running. But try sprinting now. It's just ridiculous the whole time. And then... later on, you get a tutorial box and you hit enter, and then another one immediately pops up, and it keeps doing this. At one point, it says, "Want to upgrade to Premium Edition? We'll play the game for you." Then at the very end, it says, "Click enter now to stop all these annoying tutorial boxes popping up." But what I like about it is because they've had to condense the game. It's obviously shorter than Far Cry.
I heard it was only a couple of hours.
I'm on about 4 or 5 hours now, and
That's pretty good for a game these
for
days.
a game that costs. Well, at the time I bought it $5.99, and it's normally $11.99, but still.
Is the replay value good?
Yeah, I would say so. It's got all the sort of stuff that made Far Cry 3 good.
Did they get rid of that annoying thing that you mentioned before with the whole phone calls? You go off and do something else, and then it comes back.
No, that's because it's basically still using the same engine. It's also an engine thing.
I was just hoping maybe they'd kind of...
No, they've not fixed that. But because there's less story missions in it, that only happens like the once I've encountered it. what I was good about, because it's a smaller game, they've had to basically simplify a lot of the stuff from the Far Cry, which has actually made it better, in my opinion. All like the crafting stuff you had in Far Cry is gone. Instead, you just sort of have everything open straight from the start, which is nice. You now just get abilities, no sort of skill trees or anything like that. You just get them unlocked. You get more every time you level up. You just get them unlocked, and you level up ridiculously fast. I mean, I've not even done half the quests. I'm already on level 26 out of 30, so you're just ridiculously quick. And you know, a blood dragon gives you 500 XP, and it's like 15,000 per level. So you kill 3 of them and bomb them up.
You're good.
So it's really nice and quick. Yeah, it's got even the simple things like, you know, you get the little custom-made quotes between on the loading screen. Tips like, you know, like eating food restores health. This sort of takes piss out of them as well. So it says grenades explode.
Wow.
Yeah. Liberated outposts are liberated.
That's amazing.
Nice.
I'd have never known.
And the other one I like was, when you run out of health, the game will let you know by placing game over on the screen for you. And it's just all full of crazy. It's just basically, I think the developers just said, fuck it, let's go and do something stupid. And it is really good, and for $11.99 I would recommend it.
It's all good.
Excellent.
Because I have got it on the PlayStation 3.
Oh yeah?
Now I managed to get hold of a copy for PlayStation 3. I've not had a chance to play it, but I really wanted to. As soon as I found that it would take the piss out of
I've been told by other
everything
people I know who have played it that I would really like it, and they're generally people who I trust on games. So,
if you like sort of 80s films, and also I don't know what style the cutscenes are from, so I don't recognise, but I've heard the cutscenes are based on sort of like the early Metal Gear games.
all right.
So the cutscenes are like sort of. Best way to describe the animation.
Yes, I have seen them, and yeah, they are. Yes.
The best way to describe the people sort of move, but they don't actually walk. They're just their sort of character model just moves, but static. That's the best way I can describe the cutscenes. And
it's like a comic book effect, really.
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah, but it's obviously based on sort of emulate sort of low tech sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Wow, all them years ago.
And as a melee attack, you can give people the finger.
That's brilliant. I don't know why that just reminds me of Duke Nukem.
Yeah,
Forever,
I was straight away thinking of Duke Nukem.
I'm like, all I missed really from Duke Nukem Forever was the mighty boot. I missed the mighty boot so much in Forever. It was insane. It was one of my favourite kind of weapons, I guess. Just to go up to someone and just boot them square
That always
in the
makes me
face.
think of Wolfenstein. In one of the Wolfenstein games where the kick is your sub-attack, so you can be shooting people and kicking the shit out of them while you're shooting them, which is pretty fun.
If you played Duke Nukem 3D on the PC, Mighty Boot was an actual button
of course
and
it
a
was.
weapon,
Yeah, it was
so
the
you
same,
could actually
wasn't
kind
it?
of Liu Kang kick people.
Stomping things while you're shooting.
That was amazing.
I think the best game for kicking has got to be Original Fear. When you sort of that flying kick and just send people flying across the screen.
I hate to say I barely played.
Oh, I've
Fear.
never played it.
Have you never played Fear?
No.
I've got them all because I was
AR
recently in the Humble Bundle.
Yeah, well, the original Fear is good. Don't bother about any of the rest.
I have to admit, I'm not much of an FPS player. I sort of
No.
have to have a specific thing going in an FPS for me to play it.
But Far Cry, that was. I mean, I'm not very much of a.
No,
a
I've
shooter
seen,
player, but
I've watched Far Cry 3 being played around a friend's house, and I have to admit, it did look quite fun.
Yeah, it is good fun. Storyline's a little bit ridiculous, but it's good fun.
Yeah.
But I don't mind it. I like the game. I tell you what this made me think of when I was playing this Far Cry Blood Dragon. It made me think of when you described Hyperdimension Neptunia. And that's basically a piss take out the console wars. This is basically a piss take out of everything else.
yeah, so we've got 2 games, piss take everything.
Yeah,
brilliant.
pretty
Modern
much.
gaming is pretty easy to parody, though.
Yeah, I was going
to
to
be
say, it's
fair.
not exactly difficult. When you said it takes the piss out of all modern games, I was like, that's not really hard to do these days,
No,
is it?
but the fact I'm bothered to do is quite good.
Yeah.
It's
A
basically
modern
changed.
game takes the piss out of modern gaming. Winning.
Winning. So what about yourself, Luke?
Oh, Christ, right. I've got a stack. These are going to be quick, because,
No,
what do you
it's
know?
fine.
I've been playing on the Ouya.
Evil.
And
dear.
the
Burn the
Gamestick.
Witch. Oh, that's not too bad.
Well, I hate to say it, but I turned on the Ouya the other day to see what games there are. I do this every now and then. That's the only reason the Ouya really sits on my desk, is to see what they've actually done to the damn thing, to see if they've made it any good. And they've actually released some reasonable games. Okay? So, they recently released a first-person shooter called Neon Shadow. I've just said I'm not much of a shooter player, but this is very kind of arcadey, kind of Doom, Quake, just run in there.
Old school, yeah.
Some random AI's gone ape shit. The whole point of the game is literally just run in there and just lay waste to everything with machine guns and rocket launchers and all that kind of bollocks. The only thing I don't really like about it at the moment is it's pretty craziest chaos everywhere. Everything's coming at you. You die really quickly if you're not very good at shooters, or if you're playing it on pussy mode, or if you're not playing it on pussy mode. But
I was just saying, that's the easiest way.
I'm pushing mode, you die really
What's
quick.
the other modes like?
But, like, they've got like these they're supposed to be like, I guess, attack drones, like attack dogs, but they look more like pigs with laser noses, which is kind of weird.
Nice.
That was kind of trippy, but that was kind of a fun game. And then I've been playing Hang On the old Sega Mega Drive game.
Yeah.
By was it Yu Suzuki?
Yeah.
I love Hang On. I always go back. Everyone's talking about these consoles, like new consoles. I always go back to my retro.
Yeah, I have that same escape too.
And that's the other good thing about the Ouya is you can play your emulators, but the control pad's still crap, so they haven't fixed that. Whatever. Gamestick. Now the games on Gamestick are so cheap. I mentioned this another Android games console. The controls aren't bad. I've found that the controls can be just as bad as the Ouya, depending on how far away you're sat from the machine. So it will occasionally drop out, but I played Vector, which is a free-running game. I think I may have mentioned it in the podcast when I first spoke of the Ouya. Basically, you just play as it's like a 1984 kind of vibe. This guy kind of flips out and sprints out of the office. They chase him, and basically it's like a free-running game. You just jump over rooftops and all that kind of crap. On the Ouya, it plays pretty smooth. My only gripe with that on the Ouya was it had a bit of slowdown. The Gamestick is a fair bit less powerful than the Ouya, so it's got a fair bit more slowdown, but it's still playable, it's still fun. Played Riptide GP, which is kind of like Wave Race crossed with another one of the kind of jet ski style racing games, but for the life of me I can't remember what the hell it was called. That was pretty damn fun. Then we get to the bad part. A couple of days ago I thought, you know what, I'm just going to... $5. I haven't really got an extra $5 to burn on a couple of crappy Android games, but you know what, why not, I'll do it for a laugh. £5, I thought, there's some games I haven't played, they look interesting. One of them, Dark Incursion, looked somewhat like Castlevania. It looked like Castlevania, it would play like an older Castlevania. It didn't.
Oh dear.
It's slow, it's clunky, it's got guns in it, so it's kind of like a cyberpunky, steampunky kind of thing going on. The fucking weapons fire really slowly, the mechanics are crap, the enemies are so goddamn slow. The only time you will die in that game is because the control pads are so fucking clunky.
Does it feel like a beta test game? You know,
pretty much. It's basically something that, like, it looks alright, it looks quite nice, but it just doesn't control very well.
I mean, the real thing with Castlevania is it's a fast game. You have to be fast to play it.
If they speed it up a bit, and they make it so the enemies aren't completely fucking retarded, then I'm cool with it.
Are these games for the Gamestick New? Are they developed by any of the big boys, or are these all sort of little independent?
These are basically indie consoles. These are games that you would get on an Android phone, but I'm not too sure about Dark if it's going to be on, if it has been on an Android phone or another console. So it could just be as a duff port.
Is there any way to like rate these games on there at all? So can you
I think it does have a rating system. I mean, you can just literally, like, it'll have the developers' names on the thing. You could literally just email them and say, look, fix this fucking game. It's annoying the crap out of me. But for I think it was about £2, you can't really complain.
No.
I played it, and it wasn't bad, but it wasn't... If they just tighten the controls, it could actually be fun.
Yeah.
But the controls were crap, and I had the same thing with Expendable. It had like Smash TV style controls, so one stick moves, the other stick shoots.
I saw the thing of that when you had it up earlier. Is that like Millennium Soldier Expendable from the Dreamcast? Because the little picture looks exactly the same.
So basically top-down view,
top-down
Smash TV
shooter
style controls, so you can shoot in all the different directions. Because I haven't actually played it.
Oh, well...
But the Gamestick game just is not fun.
No. Well, actually, Millennium Soldier Expendable, I have to admit, wasn't really that fun. It's just when I saw the picture, I thought straight away, that's a game from the Dreamcast days.
Well, what we might have to do then is get you to play the game, and I'll have you do a little commentary so you can actually say what you think.
I haven't played the other Expendable game in God knows how long, though.
Well,
I got it given to me, it was that bad, because somebody else didn't want it. And it sat nicely in my Dreamcast collection, but, yeah, I never really liked it.
It looked alright to be there.
It was on the end, alienated, outcast from the rest of the games.
It was like the bookend you'd have there. Or if your shelf ever starts to crack...
If any of the games are going to get dog-eared or anything, then that's the one. We'll leave that on the end.
Oh, no, I need a new case. Just out it comes. Throw the disc out. Swap it out. I mean, I'm not expecting kind of next-gen stuff out of the Ouya and the Gamestick. No. They're not bad little systems. I have slammed the Ouya quite a bit, but Neon Shadow really did kind of bring it back for me. It's like, you know what? Some of these games do have potential if the developers actually put some fucking work in, rather than just saying, hey, look, here's some pixel art. Look, it's retro-y. Buy it.
I don't like how indie gaming is actually being hijacked by these hacks, because there's a lot of potential with indie game, and we've had like Hotline Miami, as I mentioned earlier, fantastic game, and then there's some quite big games that are under the indie sort of label, aren't there?
Yeah.
But then you get the odd crappy game, and
You do.
the odd crappy game seems to be coming about more often now, doesn't it?
Shamefully, that's how the Ouya has been hijacked. It's just all...
Yeah, I think the problem with, in some cases, the case of indie gaming is that it's gotten easier to make games, which is both a blessing and a curse.
Yep.
When it was really complicated and hard to make a game, the people who wanted to make the games were the ones who were really dedicated, really put the time, put the effort in. They wanted it to be good because they wanted to make a game. Now you've got all these tools to make the games so easily. You know, you've got like Game Maker Pro, and they're so cheap really to buy.
I mean, you can get like the free version of Unity, the Ouya dev kit. I mean, the Ouya itself is the dev kit. If you were going to, develop on the Xbox or whatever, you'd have to spend a small fortune to get the dev kit.
Yeah, like we've gone back to sort of Net Your Rose PlayStation there, if you remember that.
Exactly. And that's, I think, the trouble is it's now got so easy that anybody can pick up a thing, bash out a game, and it's done. It's a bit like sort of writing on the internet, when before people had all these places to put their fan fiction, you didn't really get that much around because people didn't have a way to get it out there so much, and only the ones who did were the ones who really dedicated and sort of pushed it. Now, anyone can just go on any website, write something in Notepad, and it's up there, it's gone. That's, I think, the trouble going to have in indie games, and it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be a case of you just have to hope that the gems shine through.
Yeah.
Break their way through.
I think they do for the most part, to be fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, most of the bigger indie games I've played have been really good.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a bonus to the Ouya, I suppose, in that all of the games are free to try.
That's good, yeah.
Unlike the GameStick, but the thing I've found is that I'm trying the games on the Ouya, and if they're available on the GameStick, I'm actually buying them on the GameStick.
I mean, that's quite a nice requirement, though. If that's a requirement of the Ouya, they have to be free to try.
Every game has to be.
That's quite a nice requirement. It's something I do agree with, that they should be free. I don't think you should ever have to buy a game to try it.
No, demos need to be more prominent, really, don't
Particularly if you use, I use this sort of distribution in the form of Steam. If I buy a game, I can't return it.
Yeah.
So I've got the hope is that someone else has bought it, and I can look at all the Metacritic scores and reviews online and read out people saying.
And you actually have to hope that someone that's actually reviewed the game has the same kind of taste as you do. Otherwise, it doesn't really mean anything. But there is actually just one more game on the Ouya that I've had it installed for a long time. I kind of just browsed out, just couldn't be bothered to play it. It's a game called Polarity.
Oh, right.
And it's an Ouya exclusive. And it's very much kind of like, it sounds stupid, but imagine Uplink crossed with Portal. So you've got like the Portal kind of lab style setting,
Right.
but you're a hacker like in Uplink.
Right.
So the idea is that it's a polarity based game, so you can switch colours. If you're red, you can go through red lasers, blue, you can go through blue lasers. You can stand on certain platforms when you're a different polarity or whatever, pick up different blocks. It's just really a little puzzle game, a fun little puzzle game. I've only played the demo, I haven't actually picked it up. But it's actually really quite fun just because of the way it works. It's so simple in its design, but it's actually really fun. The only trouble is you can burn through the demo in about a minute. If you've kind of got how the game works in your head, and you skip the tutorial bit, you can burn clean through the demo in a minute.
Which basically makes you sort of think to yourself, how long is it going to get through the main game?
Yeah. But then again, it's probably not going to cost more than, say...
And again, you've got to gauge replay value there, haven't you? Because the game just got that addictive element.
Yeah, I mean...
Sometimes something you will play again and again and again and again.
I've played the demo several times. I mean, it took me a few times to get it down to being under a minute. But it's actually really quite fun. If someone has a Ouya, I would probably actually recommend... If someone has a Ouya, not many, then I would actually...
if you've got it, not destroyed it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a nice little brick. It's alright. But that's pretty much... That's it.
Fair enough. And I'll turn to our guest now. So,
what have I been playing? Well, other than I had a little trip to London recently, and I went to an arcade in London. A little place
they still
called,
exist.
It's this little place called Heart of Gaming, and it's set up by a number of young guys who have just put it together. They've got about 16 cabinets there, and they swap boards in and out, so you can play any game you want. You pay a £10 fee to go in. You can play any kind of classic game. So they've got all sorts of Neo Geo games, Naomi board games.
Naomi being the arcade version of the Dreamcast for anyone who doesn't know.
Then you've got sort of classic retro style games. It's really, really good.
When I can remember when you first told me about it, I really just wanted you to say they've got a Robotron machine in there.
Yeah.
I would have been there in a second.
I mean, I'm not entirely sure on all the retro games because we only had time to play so much, and me being a Neo Geo nut, I was on fighting games a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And Metal Slug, of course. I didn't really have a look at all of their retro games, but we'll check the list at some point, and they may well have Robotron there.
At some point, we might have to go down there and make.
We've got to
video
go there
about
at some
it. So
point.
that'd be pretty
Yeah.
fun.
I mean, next time we go down, you're more than welcome to come with us.
Sounds good.
Yeah, that'll be.
We'll have
pretty
to.
cool.
We'll drag Nick along and see if he'll
Yeah,
play any of the
definitely,
old
yeah,
arcade
you're both-
machines.
I'll confess now, I've never played an arcade game in my life.
See, that's
Never?
where you have to, mate. It's a completely different.
It really is.
It's a completely different feel to every other kind of gaming out there. I mean,
One thing that was while I was out, I played against other people. So I played against one of the reigning fighting game champs on a certain game. He thrashed me, no two ways about it. But afterwards, we got up, we shook hands, we had a little chat about the game, and I think that's something that's missing in online games because of your anonymity.
Yeah.
You're going to get people just, insulting
Constantly,
each
your mum,
other,
you're a
swearing at
fag.
each other, yeah. And one thing about the arcade is you couldn't do that because you probably
You
lose
probably
a few teeth.
Yeah.
But that was the nice thing about it, and that's something I'd like to see come back, really.
because Last Oft, where we're currently recording, had a fair few arcades. You know, I mean, we had a couple in Alton Broad.
We did, yeah.
Because we're a seaside town, so we
Yeah,
had quite a
The
few
South Pier
arcades.
and the Claremont Pier, you had quite a few games up there.
And they had good games. When we
Yeah,
had
they did,
Metal Slug,
yeah.
the Time Crisis.
I mean, yeah, Time
series,
Crisis 2, when that first came out, that was in both arcades down there.
We
House
had-
of the Dead 2.
Yeah. We had games like the Simpsons arcade games, the Turtle arcade
God,
games,
yeah, going
the
back
original
to them, yeah.
Jurassic Park. We had Afterburner. We had
Konami's Vendetta. I mean, and that's a niche title, and yet we had that in...
we had one of the rarest Sega arcade machines I've ever known in existence. The full-blown F-Zero AX simulator machine. You know, the thing where you actually sat into the cockpit and the whole thing would swing as you moved the F-Zero racer. Holy hell, when someone said to me, we had one, I was in shock, because most places in the world just had like the shitty little
Funnily
kind of
enough,
sit
we
down
had
or
a few
stand
like
up
that,
deal.
because we had the Star Wars Pod Racer one in there for a while
Yeah.
as well, didn't we? There were some quite big arcade games in there. That was a big arcade at the time, but yeah,
shamefully
go
now,
in there now.
It's all slot machines and dole lights trying to double their money.
Oh, yes.
It's a bit of a shame.
But yeah, other than going back to the arcade games, funnily enough, I've been playing PC games mostly, and yet one of those PC games is an arcade game in a way. It's King of Fighters 13, so we're going straight back into the Neo Geo fighters there, but on a PC. Surprisingly works really well.
Like keyboard controller?
No, I'm
Or
playing it
you
with
use
a
it on
controller
gamepad?
and
Okay.
looking to get a proper arcade stick, but...
Yeah. Just for our listeners who don't know what that is, because I don't know either. Just explain people what it is.
King of Fighters.
Yes.
Going sort of classic fighting games. King of Fighters was, it was Fatal Fury originally, and it was SNK's answer to Street Fighter 2.
Right.
It was like the
It's
rival.
a beat 'em up game.
Yeah, a sort of beat 'em up game, rival to the Capcom series. Yeah, that's pretty much all it is,
SNK
really.
developed the Neo Geo, which was amazing.
It was the arcade brought home, wasn't it?
It was
the
the first
Dreamcast
time
of
you
its
probably,
era.
Exactly, it was the first time you could properly have full-blown arcade quality games at home.
But in a way, that was its failing, wasn't it? Because
was
you were
so
looking at spending
expensive.
about 150 quid per game, because you're looking at putting an arcade board into your system.
Yeah, I mean, there were actual kits available, weren't there,
the
too?
console itself
convert.
was pretty pricey as well,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
But the hardware of it was amazing. The control
Fantastic.
technology
It
was
really
amazing.
forced everybody else to move forward, didn't it? We probably would have been held back a bit
And it was
if it
supported
weren't for
for
the
quite a
Neo
while
Geo.
as well, wasn't it?
It was,
So,
yeah.
It's a pretty good little machine.
Yeah, so King of Fighters is 13, so yeah, the latest iteration in this long line of games. But it's really good.
When you say you're going to get an arcade stick for it, does it
Yeah.
just support like any old arcade stick? Is it kind of like one of them games on
I
Steam where it
haven't the
supports,
foggiest,
like, you know when you plug in an Xbox control pad and you get all the kind of Xboxy style
Yeah.
UI? Is it like that? it does that. It says, oh yeah, now you press like B and A and all that kind of crap.
Do you know what? I
menus.
can't actually think, to be honest with you.
Oh, okay. So I was gonna
I'm
say,
not
like,
concentrating on that when I'm playing it.
You know, if you plugged in the arcade stick, I was just curious as to whether or not it would kind of reskin the game.
It might
for an
do.
arcade stick
It
style.
could well do that. I haven't got a clue really. But I have to
pretty
try it
cool.
when I get one.
You're seriously going to
Yeah.
have to tell us. We're going to have to
give
drag
it a
them on
go.
to find out.
That'll be in a flashback in a few episodes' time.
The only other game I've really been playing at the moment is Payday 2, which is on Steam sale for the weekend. I bought it before it went on the Steam sale, which is a bit annoying. But the only reason I got it is because the demo came out very recently, and I got to try it. And it being a first-person shooter game, I never played the first one before because, I'm not really into those kind of games. But I thought, well, the demo's there, I'll try it. Downloaded it, tried it, fell in love with it. It's a really good game. It's a sort of teamwork-based game. You can't really play it. You can't play single player on it. I have tried playing with bots. It doesn't work.
No.
You need to have other players playing with you. But you're not playing against each other. It's 4 players on a team. You can level up, so you can give your characters stat boosts and change what your gear and stuff is. But it works especially well when you've got a team of 4 people who all know what they're doing.
Yeah. What's it about?
You're 4 bank robbers, basically, and you pull heists. The heists are all different.
Right.
There's all different ways of going about it. Like, you can be stealthy. At the moment, we were discussing this earlier, there's not much reward for playing stealthy, so a lot of people are avoiding the stealth aspect of the game.
Right.
Doesn't you get
Which is
more
a shame.
points for just...
Well, yeah, you can potentially get more money quicker by just running in and blasting everything.
Yeah.
But
I've heard someone describe it to me as Left 4 Dead meets Cops and Robbers. Would that be a fair comment?
I've not played Left 4 Dead, but from what I've seen of Left 4 Dead, it could be a fair comment, because it does have that 4-player co-op aspect.
Actually, this is going to
that
sound
Left 4
really
Dead
horrible. I
had.
completely forgot about Left 4 Dead, and I own Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2, and I'm just not bothered to... I might have to play those.
Yeah, I'd say that's a fair comparison.
Yeah.
But it is a very fun game, yeah.
So it's worth buying, would you say? On
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Would you say pay full price or Steam sale? I mean, do you regret buying it?
I don't
full
regret
price?
buying it. Others might, because, again, it's not like you've not got a campaign, you are just playing multiplayer missions, but you do get a lot of bang for your buck. There are quite a few missions to play through, and they are quite varied.
Do we actually know if this is going to be one of them games where if they shut down servers, it's gone, or...?
Potentially, I don't really know, to be honest with you.
So you don't host your own server with it then, or?
No, I don't believe you do.
We might have to look that one
we'll
up.
check
and
that.
Yeah, we'll
find
check that
out.
out. Yeah.
Most of the time, I
So
don't
if you can't, it's
actually.
a bit crap, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, just imagine
I-
the servers get
I
shut
think
down
you
one
probably
day.
can. I never host games in it. I just jump in and play
Oh,
normally. So I'm playing
fair
with
dude.
other people.
Fair
Don't
dude.
ever really host a game.
We might have that
But-
in a flashback.
Yeah,
just to find
I'm
out.
pretty certain you can host your own. To be fair, because like you say, it wouldn't really work otherwise. But I think it's a good game personally. Yeah, I'm enjoying it quite a bit.
I mean, I did
Surprised
see the
by.
first one was on sale as well. For
Yeah.
£3.
Thank you for grabbing me that. That was very
cool.
kind.
I've got Payday 1 on the PlayStation 3 as well. It was actually given away in the PlayStation Plus kind of things where you subscribe to PlayStation Network for
Yeah.
£50 a year and they bundle in loads of games. Once you subscribe, Payday was on there. I just haven't played it. I wanted to, but I'm not really one for
thing
pick-up
is,
groups for team-based games.
From what I did play a bit of the first one after getting it, and I think it's one of those games where the second one knocks the first one out of the water and that you
Really?
won't play it really.
Yeah.
But I don't know, the first one probably could still be played depending on whether you've really played it before or not. I guess people who had played the first one before are more likely to go back to it than people who have already played the second one.
A lot of
and
people
started with the
preferred,
sequel.
from what I'd heard anyway, a lot of the old kind of Payday fans
Well, yeah,
preferred the first one.
there
to
was
the
a
second
character
one.
in the first one that got changed. Like I said, the team was more varied in the first one because there was an English guy on the team, but he got cut in favour of an American character that's come into the
sounds
second
about right.
one. Which is a shame because the English character actually seemed kind of fun. I mean, there's lots of English slang and stuff going on. The guy, whenever anyone else, you can call your teammates over, you see. The others are like, hey, get over here. And he's like, hey, up, over here. And it's kind of comical. And yeah, calling people twats and general sort of
Fair
Good
enough.
stuff.
English lingo.
Good old traditional English high society lingo.
Yes.
Perfect. Well, I suppose moving on to stuff that we're looking forward
Actually,
to.
Yeah.
there is one
Oh,
last
no,
thing I have to
rewind.
say.
Oh.
No. I just want to say that even though all of us have said we're not really big fans of shooters, I mean, Nick, you play kind of more
first-person shooters and stuff
Not
like
so
that.
much. That's not really even a first-person shooter. You prefer Rainbow Six. If I were to put COD in front of you,
I wouldn't play COD.
you know, you'd rather play like an actual military-style
Yeah,
shooter.
Rainbow
Yeah.
Six has a lot more strategy involved,
Yeah.
doesn't
The
it?
proper Rainbow Six.
We've all said
yes,
we
the
don't really
originals.
play shooters, yet we're all
Yeah, talking
happy
about
to say that we
shooters.
play
Yeah.
shooters.
Again, I think it
We're a
depends on
bunch of hypocrites.
what's introduced. If a game is just about shooting,
Yeah,
I
if
won't
it's,
play.
if it's like COD or
Like I was saying
Battlefield,
to you,
then-
the thing with Payday I really liked is it discourages you from just all out guns blazing. If you shoot hostages, the dude on the other end of your microphone will have a go at you and will say to you, no, you can't do that. You have to pay cleaners' bills for everyone you kill. And he's kind of morally against it because he's your traditional bank robber, cat burglar style guy.
Right. So is it possible, you mentioned about sort of stealth in it, is it possible, say, to complete a heist? Because I'm guessing the way it's all normal game will work is you'll go in, you'll take over, it'll start okay, you start raising money, police turn up, you have to shoot your way out.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that's generally rolls. Is it possible to complete a heist with, say, perfectly without letting the police get there, you know, in,
It
out,
can
surgical
be.
strike, get out, no one knows you're
I
there.
haven't seen the main bank heist pulled off like that, but you do have hostage control. So if you build your character to be a mastermind, you can run in, fire your gun off, shout everybody get down, everyone will hit the floor. If you prevent anyone from hitting an alarm, you can potentially prevent the police from being called and get away with the goods. There are other missions which aren't based around heists where you're stealing from politicians and being hired to do other such dubious acts, where you can sneak through and you can potentially take out security guards or avoid them completely, get what you're after and get out, like the old Thief games. Which
right.
is,
So is every mission roughly the same in terms of how you approach it, or...?
it's not, no, it's totally different. You have a heist where you've got to grab a thermal drill, bring that in, drill the vault, control everyone who's in the building, make sure you can get out with all the goods. You've then got like diamond heists, running in, smashing and grabbing, getting out as fast as you can. And then, like I say, you've got more political based missions where you're being hired to break into mansions and things, pick up 5 or 6 different items and get out without being seen.
Are the NPCs randomly placed or are they static? So once you learn where everyone is on the map, do they stay that way?
I think that they're randomly placed. They move around randomly, seemingly, as well. I've played the heist a few times, and the guards catch me off guard every now and then. I can't always guess where they're going to be, so...
Right, so that's kind of cool. So the last thing I want to know is, like, you know, you don't want to go run into the game, you learn where all the NPCs are, you know where all the guards are going to
Yeah.
be, and then every time you play, just like, right there,
Yeah,
there,
there's
and there,
separate
and then...
ways of doing it. The cameras are placed differently quite a lot as well, so you
Okay.
can get caught out quite a bit with that. And again, there was a trick going on with a mission. There's a mission called the Ukrainian Job, where people were exploiting the C4. If you'd leveled to have C4, you could potentially run into this mission, just shout at everybody to get on the ground, get to the safe in the back, C4 it, grab what's in the safe, leg it out, and you're done. 35-second mission. But now they've changed it so that 50% of the time the safe will be different. So there's a certain kind of safe that C4 doesn't work on. So when you go in thinking you're going to do it in 35 seconds, you may be there a little longer than you
You
thought
could have
you'd
just
be.
kind of kicked yourself square in there.
Yeah,
And that's pretty cool.
meaning you'll have to shoot your way out instead, which in itself is kind of fun.
What I want is somebody to mod a level that's based on the original Die Hard.
That would
Yes,
be
that
pretty
would be
damn
cool.
awesome.
You've got to keep the police at bay. You've got like speed. It's going to take you 6 hours to get into the vault. There's a random NPC that you can't defeat that just walks around like a big daddy type thing, just kills one of your guys every so often.
Could you imagine if they did that in real time?
You
as
have
well?
to
So you
bitch
actually
slap
had-
Carl
Yeah,
every
that's
now
what I
and
mean.
then.
Literally, it's a 6-hour mission.
That would be
That's
amazing.
been amazing.
That would be cool. Being Hans Gruber,
Yeah,
shooting dudes in the head when they're not cooperating.
yeah.
There you go,
Never-
developers, get to it. If not, Nick, get to it.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Yeah, I'll do that.
Sounds like fun to
See you
me.
tomorrow. I'll do it. I'll have done by the morning.
Challenge accepted.
Fair enough. I better learn how to use an editor first. Right, so stuff we're looking forward to. I've only got a couple. So Far Cry 4 we know is on the way. It's been announced accidentally by the composer. He was interviewed in a
Alright.
music magazine and he accidentally said, "Oh yeah, I'm making the music for Far Cry 4." And then about a few hours after he said that, they got pulled the interview. So, so they know Far Cry 4 has now been made. I don't know what stage long game development you start composing music, but I'm guessing it's reasonably far along. You don't want to start straight until you've done all the most of the assets
Yeah.
for it. So I'm guessing it's probably I'm going to guess from that be next year. That'll come out.
doesn't feel like Far Cry 3's that old, really, does it?
It's not that old.
It doesn't, no.
It's only about a year or so old, isn't it? It's only come out, was it last year or the year before?
I think it might have been last
I think
year.
it was last year.
Yeah, it's not very old.
Early to mid last year.
Yeah, but you know what
Recently
Ubisoft are
on.
like.
It's just...
Crank them out every 10 minutes.
I was going to say, it is kind of bugging me a bit now how quickly games and sequels are getting released. I mean, didn't we have Assassin's Creed 4 just come out? But it's not the fourth Assassin's Creed game. It's like, what, 6?
Pirate Assassin's Creed, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's like,
Yeah.
and that does Assassin's Creed is only, what, 6-7 years old
Something
now?
like
So
that,
why
yeah.
do we have to have a refresh every year?
But it's basically because that they can do it because they're using mostly the same tech again, aren't they? Just add things to it. The aim ranges of these are so modular, they can just add stuff to it quite quickly and easily. So that's what they do.
I think they should really call it Free Running Invincible Swordsman's Creed, because it's not really much to do with Assassins, is it? Let's
Yeah,
be fair.
I've seen the first one played, and I didn't see quite how you watch an assassin really.
It was quite fun, but it did sting me in the ass a bit when it came to actually assassinating your target. Because I was one of these guys that would go around, I would do every single mission. Because you only had to do like three pieces of an actual... I can't remember what they call it. They're not really missions, they're memories, aren't they?
Yeah.
You'd only have to...
Oh god, and I forgot about that. And then you get pulled out and you're that other bloke walking around in the
Desmond.
laboratory.
Desmond.
Oh my
So-
god.
You'd only have to do like 3 parts of any particular memory or whatever before you could fast forward to the assassination.
Yeah.
I would actually do all of them, so
I
I'd
find
get
that
the
really
full...
immersion breaking. It just
Yeah.
ruins it for me.
See, that's why I had to do all of the little bits.
Also,
to-
the fact that you guy can leap from tall buildings but can't swim. In the
Can you
first
not?
one. Yeah, in the first one, if you fall in the water, you die. They changed it in the sequel because he was in Venice. It would have been a bit hard. If
Yeah, it would have been a bit
amazing. Oh my
I managed to
God.
grow up not knowing how to swim.
But still, I mean, that was my problem with the Assassin's Creed series. I would scope out all these people, I would find out what they did wrong, whether or not I thought they really deserved to be assassinated. And then when it came to actually assassinate him, walk up to him, there you go, there's a cutscene, they fucking spot me and leg it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
great, now I just have to fucking...
Master Assassin can't assassinate anybody.
Yeah, exactly.
What they should do is based on Hitman, Blood Money.
yeah.
I haven't played a Hitman game in years.
God, no, last one I played was Hitman 2, I
Yeah,
think.
same.
Yeah.
Same. I just remember the mansion. Was that might be
Yeah, the first level,
mission.
wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Hitman, Blood Money.
Disguise yourself as a milkman and get in. Sounds like a porno, doesn't it, really?
I'm here to assassinate the washing machine.
So you start chatting up the guy's wife as you knock on the door.
Yeah.
Is that a silenced pistol in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me?
Oh my god.
Oh dear.
We've gone from Far Cry to just some random porno, like Far
Yeah.
Cry porno.
There's bound to be a Hitman porno there somewhere. There's got to be, hasn't there?
Luke, Google it.
Oh
No,
my
don't,
god.
don't do that.
That probably comes with some really dodgy stuff.
Yeah. That'll be snuff films,
Agent
won't it?
69.
Oh, good one.
Oh, very good.
That was amazing.
The only other one I'm looking forward to, well, I say looking forward to, actually got released 2
Just
days
one
ago.
last thing, the dude did
Oh,
like
God.
going in through the back door, so...
He did,
Boom,
yeah.
boom. I say looking forward to, actually only got released like 2 days ago, which is Bioshock Infinite Burial at Sea, which basically you take Bioshock Infinite and then you set it back in Rapture, the original
Right.
Bioshock games.
Alright.
So you've got the Bioshock Infinite combat, but in Rapture. And it's set before the fall of Rapture. If anyone don't know, Bioshock original games were based on this underwater city that everything went badly wrong, and they both all started becoming massive druggies and killing each other. That's the summary of it.
In short.
Infinite was set is a complete thing that if you can understand the plot after playing it one time through, then you're a genius. Because I certainly didn't.
I don't actually think anyone knows what the plot is.
I had to read a blog post and then I understood it.
I know there was a lot of controversy, like you were baptized at some point, and everyone
Yeah.
went absolutely mental about it. It was like,
I saw the amazing puzzle at the beginning, and that was enough to put me off forever. Ring this bell in this order. Great.
wow.
But actual fact, if you actually look into it, there's a lot of it's actually highly detailed. There's even symbolism built into that. It's full of symbolism throughout the entire game. If you actually sit and actually look into it, it's ridiculous how much time and effort they put into it. It's all about quantum mechanics, basically.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so they basically said that and go, right, we're going to set use the Infinite Engine, but set it in Rapture. So you play as the same character, but instead of being this PI who goes to the city in the clouds in 1912, he's a detective in Rapture.
Right.
And he gets approached by this lady called Elizabeth, who is the other main character.
Is this Rapture like, pre all the
Pre
crazy stuff
the
happening?
fall.
Yeah.
This is set, I think, about a year before the fall happens. So you're at that stage where Fontaine and Andrew Ryan are sort of at sort of starting to get their teeth, trying to compete each other out, but not quite gone all the way there. So the big daddies have arrived, little sisters have arrived, and basically you're hired to look for a missing child.
Oh.
But it's got basically, you look at it, and it is basically Bioshock Infinite. From all the screenshots I've seen, it's all Bioshock Infinite's combat, and they've just copied it across, but just replaced, instead of Vigors, it's Eve instead. That's all been copied up. But I mean, it looks quite interesting. My only thing I have read about it, which I'm not too keen about, is apparently it only lasts a couple of hours, but it's $11.99 for a couple of hours gameplay. When considered, like, for Dishonored, you had the DLC was $11.99, but it was like 6 hours of gameplay. That 2 hours, it seems, and it's nearly a year to make it. You know, just Bioshock Infinite come out in March, so it's been what, 8 months?
Yeah, we keep on kind of bringing this up that really, when you think about it, some games are like £40 to £60, and they only last 3 to 4 hours. So
I know, but
to get a bit of DLC that lasts a couple of hours and it's only like $10, it's...
I still think that's too. I mean, if I had a game that cost me 40 or 50 quid and lasted 4 hours, I'd be bloody pissed off.
Let's say that's Metal Gear Rising Revengeance or whatever it was
That's
called.
funny because we were going back earlier, or before the podcast, even when we were talking about retro gaming and how games we bought back then cost us 40 odd quid, 50 quid.
You know,
and
these days,
you finish it in an hour.
These days, how much we complain these days about how short games are, but really when you go back.
But then again,
play,
the games back then, a lot of them had replay value, didn't
and
they?
they're a lot
exactly.
fucking harder.
Exactly. So it's challenge.
Yeah, which is something that we've established in previous podcasts, that they've just kind of, they want people to beat the game, they want people to experience the game rather than be challenged by it, and you don't really.
Some games still do it. I mean, Volgard Vikings, another game I played quite recently.
An indie title, though, isn't it?
And yeah, it's an indie title, but it goes back to the roots of old school gaming. It's very hard, but it's about mastering patterns. Once you've got the pattern of a level down, you can do it a little bit easier.
Yeah.
But trial and error gameplay, lots of replay value, and I think that's something we miss in games these days quite a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's one of the only reasons why achievements and trophies are so popular now, is because you don't really feel all that rewarded for beating a game, because they've literally pulled most of the challenge out of us.
Well, we didn't really need it back then.
No, because we
they
made
worked so hard.
We made it all ourselves as well. Really, if you think about it, like, you know, these days you need achievements to encourage you to go off the path and do whatever. Whereas way back when, I can remember when we used to play, you know, shooters, and we would just randomly make up rules. Whereas, you know, now it's like games have.
You know exactly what I'm thinking of, don't you? Minority Report.
Yeah, the ragdoll clown.
The ragdoll cheat.
Right, for anyone that doesn't know, there was a game based on Minority Report on the original Xbox.
We played as a guy that looked nothing like Tom Cruise.
Can I just make one guess, Buzz? I didn't play this game, but did it get turned to a cover-based shooter by any chance?
I don't know really how you could explain it. It was sort of a shooting game with beat-em-up elements, wasn't it? Like.
It was an interesting title. It wasn't a very good title, but I mean, we unlocked the cheats menu and we got ragdoll mode, so you'd press in the left stick and all of a sudden your character would just ragdoll.
But the great thing about the ragdolling was if you ragdoll on an object, it would affect as if you'd been knocked through it. Yeah. So we were launching the guy into the air, ragdolling mid-air and smashing through tables and stuff. We made the game fun. It was a naff game, but like with that cheat, it was brilliant.
Even with that cheat, we could actually spend hours just in the first level, just in the first room, just like
there was a jetpack mission where you're flying around like a little complex and there's panes of glass everywhere, and if you do the ragdoll while you're flying with the jet, you retain like the speed you're going, so you just go crashing through panes of glass and stuff,
and it was absolutely brilliant.
Oh,
never get that these days. No one wants to explore
no rubbishy
anything.
Cheats that you used to get in the old games.
I was like,
no big head mode, no DK mode.
I just remember, the other thing I remember is like when we used to play, and this is kind of newer, I guess, really, well, isn't it? It's like Xbox days as well, but when we used to play Halo, and we used to have Tank Sniper, and I can remember when, you know, I would play on Blood Gulch, it was one of our favourite maps, because this is when Red vs. Blue was kind of popular as well.
Yeah.
And,
I forgot about that.
Just randomly, I can remember I'm sat on the sides of Blood Gulch, on the cliffs, I'm sniping people out, I'm being a bit of an asshole. And all of a sudden, I see the tank drives past, and that's my little brother Bing. He's going along in the tank. Chalky's screaming at the top of his lungs, saying, "Oh my God, he's got a tank!" Chalky gets wiped out, the tank comes back past because they haven't figured out I'm on the cliff just yet, or where I am exactly on the cliff. And all of a sudden I'm screaming at Chalky, where the fuck is Bing? Where the fuck is Bing? And I turn ever so slightly round, and at the top of this cliff there's a tank barrel right in my face at the top of this cliff. Bang! I was gone. And from that point on, the aim of the game was to try and get this little bastard, my little brother, from the top of this goddamn cliff in a fucking tank. He sat there trying to snipe us with a tank. So it was insane. That was
good.
That was back when games were fun, when you didn't need achievements to encourage you to do stupid little things.
Like we were saying, couch-based multiplayer, when you would just be encouraged to mess around with your mates.
And it's all gone, because, again, unlike the arcade generation, they've now taken it all away.
Again, even further to the Nintendo 64, when you had your split screen like with GoldenEye, and I had hours of fun winding up an old friend of mine because he gets so angry if he lost at a game, and I wasn't particularly good at GoldenEye. I'm not really a first-person shooter gamer.
But we still go back to the first-person shooter.
Yeah, but I'm still playing. But I used to dick around on that game so much. Like, I just select grenades, run through the level, throwing grenades everywhere until he gets blown up, and he'd get really mad because I've blown him up.
Multiplayer game.
Run into him, keep crouching and then uncrouching and slapping him so he couldn't shoot me.
The best one was when people were playing as Odd Job.
Oh, he was really good at Mario Kart as well, and I sucked at racing games too. I'm not very good at those kind of games. I'd always pick Wario, drive around the track backwards and target him specifically and knock him off the road, and it's brilliant fun. You made your own fun with those kind of games. You didn't have to play by the rules.
That used to make me think of what you were saying there when I used to play SSX Tricky.
Right, that's a good game.
Because that you could shove people. You're on the snowboard. You're on a snowboarding game. You could literally shove people.
Right.
And whenever me and my sister used to play, I could always time the shove perfectly. So I used to slow down so she could start overtaking. And as soon as she come past me, she went boof. I could do it every single time. And occasionally she got fed up. Used to come for revenge. I could just see her cat just like flapping his arm out in the hope that she might hit me. And I just sort of like very carefully. Poof, and off she go again. I tortured her for hours like that.
See, and you didn't need, other than the game actually having that in it, you didn't have to have the game tell you that...
Nowadays, you do that like 10 times, being achievement unlocked, you know.
And everyone's like, yeah,
Snow Shovel. Snow Shovel, that's a name for an achievement for that. Brilliant. I should be a game designer.
Let's move on to the next achievement. I hate achievements. I hate... Online multiplayer is fine as long as we get some co-op or some campaign
you found
co-op.
the pause button and pause the game. Even
achievement.
Have I told you my plan for achievements when I set my game up? I've told him. I've not told you. What I'm going to have in mind for the Xbox, if I do an Xbox version, is you'll load at the menu screen, and then it'll pop up achievement unlocked, menu screen opened, and you'll get 1,000 points for it, and that'll be it. One achievement for the entire game.
For the menu screen, brilliant.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen the ones on the... We've talked about it earlier. Have you seen the ones for the Stanley Parable?
No.
The Stanley Parable has an achievement. I think this is how it goes. It's don't play the Stanley Parable for 5 years, and then play it, and you get an achievement.
Nice.
So leave the game. And there's lots of others. There's all these other
console will be out, and you won't be able to play anymore.
There's all these other random achievements that look. Yeah, it's a Steam achievement. But yeah, the achievements are all really, really weird and obscure on it, but quite funny because of it.
There's some ridiculous impossible truths. Like if you've got Garry's mod, there's an achievement for being on the same server as Garry, the guy who made the mod.
All right.
You can only get if you go on hit with, and he joins servers randomly. So basically, unless you're just lucky, you'll never ever get that achievement.
That's pretty cool.
Random achievements.
I like that because then there's going to be people out there that are obsessed with getting every achievement in the game, and that's going to sting them so bad.
What I used to like doing with Steam is you can also see viewer achievements. You can see how people have got them. I like looking down the list and seeing like what's the hard one, and I think like 0.01% of people have got it because I think that's the lowest it will show you is 0.01. Actually, what's also good about it is you can notice what's good about this one, if it's good about achievements, is in most games if you want to see how it's interesting to see how far people have got through them. You know, see how many people in the world have got through them. And of course, if you get achievements for getting boss battles, say, you can look at the achievements to see how many people have unlocked them. So for the original Deus Ex, when I looked, 70% of people got past the first one, then went to like 50% for the second one, then like 20% for the last, and then the final one was
not finishing.
So you could say, 10% of people have actually completed the game.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's kind of handy. If you get achievements for actually playing I don't mind achievements when you play the game. I mentioned this before in another podcast, but The stupid ones that involve the fucking multiplayer mode, get rid of them. I don't want achievements for 50 headshots with a pistol. I don't want achievements for sniper kills, grenade kills and that, because you're always, and I've said it before, you're just going to have this annoying little bastard that comes into the fucking game and you'll know exactly what achievement is going for, because he will use that exact gun. You'll know when he's dinged the achievement because he'll change his fucking weapon up.
What about if they made it a system whereby, with achievements, say, you could only earn them a bit at a time? So say you're 50 shots with a sniper rifle. After you say do 5 in a row, that achievement's then paused until you've got another 5 with a different game. Yeah. So you can't do 50 shots in a row, you won't get it. The achievement's locked
I would
out.
like it if they actually forced people to play the game as it was meant to be played, because that's what the achievements were about, weren't they? You would get it eventually
on a game
over
like
time.
Team Fortress with team in the title. People aren't playing a team game if they're going around trying to get achievements themselves, are they?
Yeah. I think it's worse in games where, I think I mentioned before, where achievements are tied to a gamer score. That's when they're worse. Yeah. Because then you've got a number you need to get. When they're just an achievement, you don't, like Bill on Steam, you don't get anything for an achievement.
You just get the achievement.
Yeah.
I think you probably find that strange. People are less concerned about, I mean, in the case of Gamerscore, they want to get their, what they call it 1,000ing or something. I don't know, I'm not a console gamer. Yeah. But that's, as soon as you tie it to that, that's when people want to get the achievements.
See, I'll tell you something that really did piss me off when achievements came out. And the same thing happens in other games like MMOs and that, but they would actually judge your skill by your achievements, your gamer score. And there were some people that would say, well, you can't come into this group because you haven't got, 50,000 achievement points or whatever. It's like, well, what the fuck?
What would you want me to do? A friend of mine did this. I laughed so much about it. He rented Open Season. Do you remember that film? It was like a CGI, one of those CGI DreamWorks films that we get every year about CGI animals. He just got the game, rented it, so we could play it to unlock the achievements. He got all the achievements on it in about 5 hours. Yeah. It's like you're playing a game you don't even have any interest in just to get the achievements.
I know a lot of people that did that, and it gets on my nerves. I don't even like it when people are only encouraged to play through certain modes of the game for achievements. It's like, if that mode in your game is not good enough to make people want to play it through anyway, then it shouldn't be fucking in the game. Because
what's your opinion on achievements for playing a game in a certain style? So let's, for example, Deus Ex. There's an achievement. There's two actually. There's one called Pacifist and one called Foxes of the Hounds.
Right.
Pacifist you get if you don't kill anyone throughout the entire game. You can stun them but can't kill them.
Yeah.
Fox of the Hound you get if you don't set off any alarms or get spotted, basically. What's your opinion on achievements for encouraging a play style?
That's quite good, because in a way that's an achievement that encourages you to play a game in a different way, and it's not going to be an easy achievement to get.
No.
Which is what achievements really, if we're going to go for them, should be about.
They should be
that kind of works, something that you've done that has quite a bit of effort on your part.
But I'll agree with you on that one to a point. Yeah. But see, this is the thing. Way back when we used to play games before achievements were kind of bolted onto everything, we used to do that kind of stuff anyway.
Yeah.
We didn't need an achievement to make. We didn't need to have a little badge to make us feel good about doing it or want to do it.
The only thing I suppose about it is that it's if you play through a game you want to know you haven't alerted anybody at the end of it, it's nice to say,
it's nice to know.
I definitely didn't alert anybody because I've got the achievement.
Metal Gear did it quite well, didn't it? Because in Metal Gear Solid, you got a rank, an animal, didn't you, based on how you played the game and how many people you killed, how quickly you done the game, depending on what you did.
Look, I used to like it when you used to get a score at the end and say, like, you alerted XYZ amount of enemies, you killed so many people, you did this, you did that. If they're going to score you on something, just give me a fucking score at the end. Don't give me a fucking achievement for it. There's no need. I hate achievements with a passion.
I'm just now imagining some achievement that trying to get this Garry's mod achievement by going to Garry's house with a gun and be like, right, you're going to play the game with me.
Start the server.
And it wouldn't surprise me if it now actually happens. Keep an eye on the news.
Yes, that'll be in the weird news next month.
Don't blame me, guys. Don't blame me.
No. It depends when this you goes round there.
Just so you can say you got the achievement.
I got the Garry's mod achievement. Maybe they could create a new one then, hold Garry at gunpoint to get the Garry's mod achievement.
Yeah, that'll be added in next time. Or it'll be, the 100% for the achievements, he'll add it in later, so when it's patched, it'll be, don't hold Garry at gunpoint.
You better hope you don't add a headshot achievement, Garry.
No, it would be terrible if there's one called like Murder Garry, because then only one person can ever get that achievement.
No, I would make sure it would be like, so he's just been held up at gunpoint to get the, play on the same server as, Garry
Oh
achievement.
God, famous Garys would be running for their lives, wouldn't they?
So you've got him pinned at gunpoint so you can get this achievement. The next patch comes out, it's, you've never held Garry at gunpoint to get the full achievements list. But because you've already done it, you will now no longer have the full achievements list.
Oh no.
I would say that's just great.
Has there ever been a game that's actually done that, where once you've got an achievement, you can never get another achievement?
That would actually be brilliant.
I think there might have been, I think there might have been games where you've got counter achievements, but then again, on one playthrough you wouldn't be able to get them.
Yeah.
But then that would be interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
A game where basically you could only get half the achievements, because once you've done it, you've never done this, therefore you can't get it. You've got the achievement, therefore clearly you've done it.
Yeah. If every game did that, I wouldn't mind.
I'll scribble that down for my
There'd
notes.
be a lot of OCD people getting very upset, but
Yeah.
And I would laugh.
I'll just promise to patch out in a few years' time.
In a few years, and then, you'll be in your 50s.
Yeah, I said a few years. I didn't say how many's a few.
On your funeral, will be like, I've got this button here, it's programmed, so if I press this button, my PC will just, the patch will be released.
No, I'll do a Kickstarter for it. Once I raise £10 million on Kickstarter, then I'll patch it out.
And I'll be like, no!
That's my time and effort to write the patch.
That'd be absolutely... And it turns out it's only like a couple kilobyte patch.
Yeah.
And you make sure that if anyone does try to hack it to patch the problem out, you make sure format C.
Yeah, that'd be good.
If it's not the official patch, just fucking wipe their drive.
Gary, if somebody does make an attempt on your life, I'm really sorry.
Wasn't us. We didn't advocate murdering somebody. We've never done. Actually, we have done the podcast before.
Yes. And we're only 4.5, 5 episodes in.
Yeah.
Amazing.
We're just waiting for us to get shut down, really, to be fair.
The black van ain't there this week.
No, it isn't. I think it got. He knew I was coming, so he just didn't bother parking there.
They're just going to listen to the podcast and we're going to be held at gunpoint later.
Exactly. We're incriminating ourselves. We don't need them to be listening into us. We're doing it for them.
They'll be like, what's the point? And where's the surveillance team? So we don't need them. They're releasing the podcast. We'll listen to it. We'll have a laugh. We'll knock on the door later.
Yeah.
Get our subscriber numbers up, guys. Come on.
We want numbers. We've gone down. We want to go up again. Trust what, I think all subscribers now are either me or somebody else we know.
Now the subscribers are all from Norfolk. We're seriously offended the Chinese, the Americans, people from Essex, Norfolk.
Perhaps you're really big in China, that's why we've all lost all our subscribers.
God damn, we're so big that we lost 4 people.
I want to think that we're really big in North Korea.
Yeah.
Kim Il-sung logging in regularly to listen.
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Ah, dear leader.
Moving on
quickly. We don't want to piss off the North Koreans.
We've offended everyone
really
already.
don't want to anger the North Koreans.
No.
Too late.
Yeah. They actually do kidnap people. They kidnap that he wants to make a film about himself, so he kidnapped a director from South Korea to make a film about him.
Oops.
Yeah.
Didn't they? I hear that Kim Jong Il invited the South Park guys, when they did Team America, made the puppet of him, invited him to his palace.
Really?
And
Did they go?
They went. So I hear. I don't know whether there's any truth
Is that
to this
why
rumour.
South Park stopped?
And no, he told them he liked it. He thought it was really funny. So
You always need to see the translated version.
yes.
So warm me.
Oh
By saying he liked it, he was probably saying, I'm inviting you here. There's a bit of a threatening edge there,
but they didn't have to go.
they didn't. No, they didn't.
But for the lols, they did.
Yeah, it'd been different if, like, say, someone knocked on their door from North Korea saying, "You are held a gun," and saying, "You have been invited. Would like to come."
Then the achievement things.
Yeah, achievement unlocked, threatened by North Korea.
Wow. We better get that soon. Wait,
Yeah,
no.
yeah, it might do. They might nuke us.
That'd be seriously. If I get Mushroom Cloud and I get that achievement ding,
Yeah,
then I'd like
you'll
achievements.
be happy.
If I can have that as a life
That's
achievement,
yeah. Life. That's it. We need achievements in life.
maybe that's why.
Are we basically going for everyone around the world? Everybody around the world hates you. Achievement unlocked. You know?
That'd be
Yeah,
brilliant.
You have offended every single country on
We've
this
pretty
planet.
much we've
We're
done
getting there.
Yeah, we've had a pretty good run. 4 or 5 episodes
There's
in.
216 countries.
You've got that little achievement line time thing where you can see how far you are to progress bar for your achievement. We're getting there.
We're 216 countries in the world. We must be on at least 10 of them by now.
At
So
least.
5% of the way there.
Once we've done that, it's like how many places in the universe can you
I think we have offended most people outside of the planet. Most people
I was
on
thinking
the
of
wall.
That's
Martians
okay,
picking
though.
up the
No, it's
podcast.
okay, because the thing is, it's several years before it reaches Mars yet. We're safe for at least another 4 or 5 years.
We're good.
We're safe. Right, back to what we were talking about. Stuff we're looking forward to. Who's next? Who wants to go next on this one?
There's not really anything I'm looking forward to be honest. I'm a bit of a cynical gamer, really. Though I did forget to mention a game that I have been playing recently, which I've been playing a long time now. It's not been out here long, but I imported it and got the American version, and that is Dragon's Crown, which is
controversy.
The pinnacle of games for me. I've been looking forward to this game now for ages, and the minute I bought it, first started playing it, I fell in love with it. It is what I've wanted from gaming for years.
It was supposed to come out on the Dreamcast.
It was, yeah. It's been in the works for a long time. Basically, George Kamitani, the guy behind Vanillaware, who released Muramasa, the Demon Blade on the Wii. And some other few lesser known titles. He worked on the original Dungeons and Dragons arcade games by Capcom, which anyone who will have played them will know that they're scroll and beat 'em ups with a little bit of a roleplay twist in that you can level up, you can take different routes through the game, you play as different classes, that kind of thing. George Kamitani basically wanted to make a game like that because he really he's into games. He's one of those rare, awesome developers that makes games because he loves them and is passionate about them.
A developer that would actually make a game that he himself enjoys, she enjoys.
Yeah, he basically wanted to make a game like Dungeons and Dragons that Capcom had him make, or that he worked on. But he wanted to make it more in depth, and he has spent years on this game. And he ran into controversy over here because the characters are very exaggerated and over the top. And the big thing that went down over here is one of the main characters is a sorceress, and she has a gigantic rack.
Yeah.
And feminists got very, very angry over this and saying, "Oh, it's misrepresentation of women," like almost suggesting there aren't women in the world who have giant racks, forgetting those people entirely. For also missing the fact that every character in all of Kamitani's games is exaggerated. His dudes are big and muscular, pretty faces. Everybody looks beautiful and amazing.
We had that discussion before, didn't we? Then everyone was going absolutely nuts over the sorceress and the Amazon.
Yeah, and Kamitani received quite a bit of hate for it, and it was unjustified.
Yeah, I thought it was bollocks because no one complained that the dude characters were like, fucking seriously, man.
Yeah. I mean, the warrior in it is like, he's shaped like Conan, but he's got a really pretty face. And then your dwarf, like I said earlier, the dwarf's arm is about the size of me. Like I wouldn't fit on the dwarf's arm. He's
no one gave a crap about any of that. But as soon as they see a character with massive tits, it was like, oh man, look, I don't really know if this is my kind of game.
The game is like, it's not meant to be taken seriously, and it does parody sort of older games. And I mean, there's a Monty Python parody in there, which is amazing to play a Japanese game and then find a Monty Python
that would be pretty cool
piece in it. It's absolutely brilliant. But I have to rate it as one of my top games of all time because it takes the scroll and beat 'em up genre, which has always been a favourite of mine.
It's near dead these days.
Yeah, well, I mean, in this market, it doesn't really have a place to thrive because they're simplistic games. They're arcade games, essentially. You want to just play through them with a mate or two, and when you're done in like 10 minutes. You finish the game. Or in like an
Dragon's
hour
Crown
even.
takes an absolute...
But Dragon's Crown, you can revisit levels, you level up, you gain new weapons, new items, new skills. And because of the replayability factor, you want to revisit the levels, you want to play through it again. It's got a hint of Diablo to it in a sense, in that when you go through it on harder difficulties, the enemies change. Yeah. So you get like, you're fighting lizard men to begin with on normal difficulty. Those lizard men, then you get lizard chiefs in the next level with bigger dudes with bigger spears. The orcs get bigger, and you fight all newer versions of the enemies and some of the older ones. And the bosses then get changed up a little bit. It's just a very, very good game with a lot of passion and effort put into it.
So I like how you said good developer, because I did hear, I mean, you were pretty pissed about it. There was an update that brought in kind of new barrows.
Yeah, he brought new barrows in, which basically, because the game gets really hectic, and that it's all hand-drawn, a lot of it, and the artwork is spectacular, but because of that, a lot can happen on screen. So the magician class, the sorceress, and the wizard, they can cast spells that can clear the screen of enemies. And one of them is like a big tornado, and it obscures your view, so you can't really see a lot of what's going on. But, you know, it only lasts for a few seconds. But, you know, as you do, you get your casual gamers. Oh, I can't see what's going on in the game.
Yeah.
Put something in to make it easier. So they added in these arrows under your characters so you can see where you're going. But they're neon arrows.
Yeah,
and not the good kind of neon.
No, not 80s neon.
Yeah, they're not 80s neon.
Are we
They're-
talking like cheap kind of vodka bar?
They're
now?
very, very, very colourful, and on because I play it on the Vita, so on the OLED screen of the Vita, they're very striking, and they put me off the beautiful artwork of the game. So I was really not
So you
happy.
were the arrows were doing their job. You knew where everything was. You were being pulled
but there
out
are
of the game.
already arrows in the game that show you where you are. They're just smaller, so you can see where you are. It's not difficult.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, a lot of people complained, and Kamatani, to his credit, said fine, took them out, updated the game to add crossplay, so you can now play the Vita version
with the
with
PlayStation 3
PS3
version,
players,
which I thought was there from the
and
start.
vice versa, which is fantastic. But yeah, that again shows him being a positive developer. He listened to genuine fan complaints because he knows who his fans are, and said, okay, I'll change that. But yeah, you've got these people that don't even play his bloody games, and they're wanting to change the game to suit not even their gaming needs, their social needs. So, well, you know, you've got games that cater towards what you like. Why the hell are you pissing on
why?
everybody else's parade?
I mean, we wouldn't tell him to. Well, I have said to him, stop making Call of Duty because it's pissing me the fuck off.
You know,
But
I mean,
at the end of the day, someone wants to play it, so make them the game. that
I'm
they
quite
want to
happy
play.
for Call of Duty to be made, so long as everybody else is getting represented. But because so many of these big companies see the money in games like Call of Duty, they try and change their own games that have nothing to do with Call of Duty.
Capcom, Resident
Yeah.
Evil.
What was the big thing that I had with Legacy of Kain? A single-player, story-driven game being changed into an arena shooter for the sake of capturing the Call of Duty audience. It just doesn't make sense. You're not appealing to any of your fan base.
Arena shooter is more.
Well, yeah, we're not.
And
Yeah,
Tournament,
we're sort of talking team-based, modern team-based shooter games. Yeah.
right.
Highly scripted. You know, you're basically just walking around with a gun.
Well, we all know how much we love scripting here.
Oh, we love scripting. You know, you don't really actually get involved that much in the game, really. You're just sort of...
It's kind of like the Heavy Rain of... that was just like a big old movie.
Yeah, but it was meant to be, well, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I fucking hate stuff like that. Sure, it's beautiful, great, whatever. Just let me play a game. I want to play a game. I don't want to experience a
again,
movie.
I like point-and-click games, but point-and-click games, a lot of them have like the humorous edge, don't they? Which is what keeps them going. Where Heavy Rain took itself very serious. But no, actually, that's not really fair, because saying that, Blade Runner is a point-and-click game, and that's fantastic, a very good game. But Heavy Rain, I don't know, something about
Maybe
it.
they tried a little too hard.
You see, I wouldn't mind that sort. I don't mind a game if I know going into it, a game's going to be like that. It's going to be quite. It's aimed to be quite cinematic and stuff. I don't mind it. But when it's games say pretend to be something else, like it's pretending to be a first-person shooter, but it's not. It really isn't.
Like what they did with Resident Evil again, you know.
Yeah.
You imagine if it was like an RTS game where you can only control units, but it's all scripted around you. What you do is not actually really much of a strategy apart from what you can only do. That's what I know. But if I know the game's meant to be that sort of experience, I quite enjoy. I mean, The Walking Dead, good example. That's fairly heavily. You're basically interacting with a TV series, not so much a film, but like a TV series in a way. Very heavily scripted, but you go into it knowing that, and it's enjoyable.
If it's your kind of game, sure. I mean, all right, Heavy Rain wasn't as bad as. What was the new game they did by the same guy that did Heavy Rain?
Beyond Two Souls.
That might have been the one, yeah. And oh my god, so basically everything they did right in Heavy Rain, they took it out.
Right.
And
see, a friend of mine compared Beyond Two Souls to Shenmue, and I went a bit ballistic at this because I love Shenmue. So no, this game is nothing like Shenmue.
It really isn't. Shenmue actually had a bit, although it was quite.
It was very cinematic, but it
was driven. But you could go around and fuck
every
about.
day. You did your own thing, didn't you? You went, and if you want to go to the little capsule thing, and like I did, collect all the little capsule toys, you could do that. And
go down the arcade.
You weren't fixed in what you had to do. You could basically unravel the story at your own pace. It was essentially a game with a story, whereas these seem to be more stories that you have to follow, and you can't divulge from them go away from them for any amount of time.
Yeah.
Whereas with Shenmue, you could do the story in your own time. If you can't do it in your own time, where does the game start?
Yeah.
If you're forced into following this plot.
Yeah.
but nothing else actually really happens.
Because that's kind of like what they started doing with Final Fantasy, wasn't it? You were given a path, and it was literally like, final corridor.
Yeah,
Final Fantasy. It was just a massive line. I think apparently, I don't know, 'cause my wife played Final Fantasy 13. She reckoned that Final Fantasy 13 was about 20 hours before she could actually choose who was in her party.
Oh,
And
God.
by that point, I was like, I ain't playing it.
To be fair, I mean, if you go back to Final Fantasy IV, you couldn't choose who was in your party until the very end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
But that was, again, because the game, it did follow a story. You could move away from it to a degree, but it kind of worked there because of the fact of the way the story flowed and the way the gameplay integrated into that.
The only sort of Final Fantasy game I ever have any experience with was Final Fantasy X.
Okay.
And because my sister played that one, but I always thought that looked quite linear myself, to be honest.
Yeah, 10 was
10
kind
is
of the
linear compared to the
downfall of-
others. I wasn't a big fan of 10 personally. I know people who do like it, but it didn't do much for me. Like I was saying earlier, 9 is
nine. It kind of came back to the original Final Fantasy.
and 9
formula.
had a lot of. It was, you could go to a lot of different places. There was a lot to do. Whereas 10 you were a bit restricted in what you
10
could
was
do.
the beaten path of Final Fantasy.
We did have a problem with that when my sister got to the end and she realised that she hadn't really been using the sphere grid, didn't they?
Yeah, that sphere system, which looks
I still don't understand.
awful to me.
Yeah, and she realised she hadn't really been doing her characters properly and she couldn't actually do the final boss.
Oh.
It was actually impossible for her to do. The way characters couldn't physically do enough damage. So in the end, we had to use a what was it called, a Game Shark? It was called a action replay.
replay
cards, yeah.
We had to use one of those
To re-level.
to get past it. To get
The irony there being that the sphere system is too open and the game itself is too linear. So
Yeah.
you're getting kind of lost in, well, the part of the game that shouldn't be the engaging part.
Yeah.
The trouble was basically because it was so open, you go anywhere. What she ended up doing was basically making a bear. All her characters were just ridiculously overbalanced.
Yeah.
Rather than focusing them all on one thing, they're just balanced in every direction.
Yeah.
So they never was focused
Me and
on
Luke
anything.
were talking about this earlier. One of the things I don't like in Final Fantasy games that other people do, and
Yeah.
to each his own, was that some of the later Final Fantasy games are very open because of the job system that came about in Final
that'd
Fantasy.
be 7,
Yeah.
7,
Yeah.
8, 9.
And
Or
you
7
had,
and 8, sorry.
5 had it. And I think the first game actually.
No,
the first game
one you had to pick
your
classes, so warrior,
yeah.
thief.
I think it came into it in 5. You basically had the job system where your character could change class depending on what you wanted them to be. And I don't like it because one thing I liked about the characters themselves having a specific role, it's built into the character.
It
so
is the character themselves.
that is part of the character. And in a way, it did make the game more fun because then you were working on that specific thing. Whereas if it's a bit too open there, you do have the ability to get lost, don't you? Which the sphere grid kind of shows.
See, with the games, because I was one of the people that preferred it when we pulled up, at least in the newer Final Fantasies, when we pulled away from single character class kind of deals. Because a lot of the characters in the newer games, so 7, 8, 9, were annoying as hell, and if I could boot their asses out of my party, brilliant.
Yeah.
And it was kind of done well in those games because the story would slightly change in certain scenarios based on who
For
you
me,
had in
in
your
8
party.
especially, because I didn't like any of the characters in 8, I'd have kicked them all out.
Yeah.
I'd have played as Laguna and just gone through the game as him, because he was
Yeah.
fun at least, but...
But that's, when it came to... See, because having the job system and having it changeable was one of the things that was really good about Final Fantasy 11 and Final Fantasy 14. With it being an MMO, you don't have to have a ton of alts to play all the different classes. You can have one character change a class. But when you pick the class, and you are playing as that class, for the most part, you are that class.
Yeah.
You can kind of mix and match here and there, but your skills aren't going to be as good if you were to be dedicated in one thing. But fuck Final Fantasy, the Corridor of fucking Doom. I hate that game so much. Why won't Square Enix just admit that they want to make films?
Square
now?
Enix don't make games anymore, do they? Let's be fair.
They're just fucking. They are just. Oh god, I can't.
I mean, their films wouldn't even be very good films.
Nope. No.
No.
There we go. We've just gone trailed off completely. as to
Yeah.
how much we hate fucking.
The depression that has been caused by Square Enix. Thank you, Square Enix, for...
But everyone keeps doing it.
yeah.
They keep changing the formula because they want to make more money, and we're not all about graphics.
Yeah.
We used to explore with no encouragement back in the
Trouble
day.
is, it's going to actually come scupper them because now I'm actually about to contradict my own point now. with the rise of how easy it is to make games now, you're getting more and more indie devs out there who are now able to make the games that we used to know and love.
Yeah.
And they're starting to get popular. And what will happen is, all indie devs will start doing these very open games, all basically how they used to be. And what you'll see is when they start becoming popular, you will see all the main folks will suddenly go, oh crap.
In a way, though, you might be strengthening your own point, because if then, because like you were saying about indie games, you weren't necessarily saying all indie games, just certain indie games were bad and others were potentially quite good. In which case, what we can hope is that the good games are going to float more because people are going to be more interested, which will show that people want to play those sort of games.
Yeah, you just don't want there to be a stigma of the indie movement caused by all the shit games.
The thing is that the thing I don't like about the indie movement, and I'll potentially upset people here, but who cares, is that the more famous indie devs are bad. I don't like Phil Fish, for one. Everybody knows this. Fez is overrated.
Yeah.
Phil Fish himself is... I just don't like the guy. I don't like the way he is towards fans of his game or towards other people. That what he said to that Japanese developer at that convention was totally out of order. Because we're highlighting people like that to be the main faces of the indie genre. It's not good. Whereas you've got the dude that made Hotline Miami. He seems to be a really cool guy from what I've seen of him. Yeah. And he makes games for people who want to play his games. Doesn't really dumb down.
But in the case of, say, Phil Fish, though, you say he's pushed to the front. Is he only seems to be pushed to the front because he's made those comments, so his name's got round?
It's possible, yeah.
That I would say is more likely. Not that because there's no one entity out there saying we're going to pick these people as our indie devs. There's no one entity out there, and you're not all. I mean, you've got Notch, haven't you, Minecraft dev?
Yeah. I see.
All right, chap. His name is engraved on the side of the Ouya. And now he doesn't. Yeah, he was a big support. Well, he was a big supporter of the Ouya. I think he's actually number 1. 1 second. Yeah, Notch. He was one of the top backers of the Ouya.
Notch on the Ouya.
And then, good one. And then he just went and said, "Well, yeah, I don't really like Minecraft." He basically said himself, "I don't like the idea of playing Minecraft on a big screen telly that's on the Android platform." It's like, well, fucking, why have you got Minecraft on the Xbox then?
Yeah, we're kind of going back to Phil Fisher and what he said about I don't like PC gaming or Fez was made for consoles. Why would you alienate what could potentially make you money and get your game seen? If I was making a game, I'd be happy for anyone to play it. I wouldn't care what they're playing it on, so long as they're enjoying it.
Can I just throw out so I shoot Thorny game Peer Solar earlier on, which is a game that was made in 2010.
I was thoroughly impressed with on my
for the Sega Mega Drive. In 2010, this game was made. It's an RPG.
How that many Sega Mega Drives round to play it?
Tons, absolutely tons. But they recently did a Kickstarter to make Peer Solar HD. So they're doing an HD remake for Android. So it's going to be on the Ouya, Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, Wii U. It's going to be on PC as well, I believe.
I was going to say, there's no PC in there.
They're putting it on everything they can.
That's the positive way to go about it, isn't it? You want to get your product seen.
They actually apologised to Xbox fans because they said, look, I know a lot of you guys have backed the Xbox version. You want it on the Xbox, but Microsoft aren't interested in talking to us.
Yeah.
We've been backed, we've got the money, they know we've got the money, but they won't.
Potentially, if you're trying to sell something, that's why you need to be. You need to be humble, you need to be appealing to people, which seems to be something that's missing with like the way Square Enix, Capcom, and people like Phil Fish now treat fans of their work.
They've been disconnected from it.
They have, absolutely,
They're just worried about the money rather than how we actually...
Or they think to themselves that basically they are so big they can't fail.
But now look, that then goes on to a discussion we had earlier about Capcom.
Yeah. They think they're so big they can't fail.
They're now about to sink.
Yeah. You put out there let's turn Resident Evil to a cover-based shooter.
Yep. And the survival horror guys just... That's not what they wanted with their series, and so people started boycotting their games. One of the main guys, the
like
father
I said
of Mega
to you
Man.
before, Capcom was my favourite company when I was a kid. Capcom and SNK were my two big companies I'd go to, and I boycotted Capcom myself. I don't buy anything with Capcom's name on it now because they've just done too much to pretty much offend me as a player of their games.
What these becomes forgotten in a way is they've forgotten what the internet is like. And they've forgotten that in the days past, you go back even 5 years, if you're a big company like that, you could get away with doing that sort of thing because people would go out there and they'd see, oh, there's a new Resident Evil, I'll buy that.
Yep.
The internet wasn't so pervasive. I mean, not compared. You think 5 years ago, I know YouTube stuff was around, but wasn't quite as pervasive. Let's say go back 10 years. A lot of people didn't have it. They'd go and say, oh, the new Resident Evil game, I'll buy that. And you'd still make money because people didn't realise your game is completely different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you get away with doing stuff. But now, you can't get away with it because more people are switched on, more people are involved with, forums, discussion groups, and it picks up more. It's hard
near
to
enough
get
the
away
second
with.
that a game comes out, you've got average Joe making a video about it to talk about
Which
what
in
he
a
thinks
way
about
is a good departure from the retro scene, because as much as I love retro gaming, you were really taking a chance when you bought a game back in the day. If you were
We've
in
talked
the
about that
Mega
as
Drive
well.
era
Yeah.
of gaming, you'd spend 40 quid, like, that looks like a cool game, you take it home and you've had the potential to be disappointed.
Yeah. That's when the
Or
bad
the opposite, you might get a hidden gem that you weren't expecting.
But that was actually, I have to quickly throw that out there as well, that was actually one of the other things about the retro era. If a game was made and it was shit, it would spread that your game was shit and no one would buy it.
Yeah.
If a game was released and it wasn't finished, that was it. You were fucked because you couldn't patch it. Whereas now, they make it their business to release
Except,
unfinished
unlike
games.
the old Amiga system, I remember a lot of games used to come out unfinished then, didn't they? And then they patched them and released a patch disc with sometimes with magazines even.
Well, yeah, but you could still, you still had companies saying, look, hey, if you send back your cartridge, we will give you a new
There
cartridge
is
with the fix on
actually,
it. But
if you look it up, like Google it, is a list somewhere of games that are unfinished or games that are made. There's points that are physically impossible for you to do, so that you can't reach the end of the game because it's not finished.
yeah.
So that's quite interesting.
But it's not quite as bad as saying now when you're it's getting to the point where the game is kind of nearly finished. It's
Yeah.
right, deadlines are coming. The game ain't fucking finished. We need to find out a way to make as much money as fucking possible. They'll either strip bits out, they'll release it unfinished, they'll maybe patch it later or whatever.
I remember was Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. It was forced out unfinished. A fantastic game, and with mods can be made to work perfectly, but was chucked out unfinished and buggy as hell.
I have a certain good sympathy for developers in this regards because ultimately most developers are beholden to their publisher.
Yeah.
And ultimately, when you're developing a game, you're not got any money for it. A publisher will come to you. If I come to you, Luke, and said, I'm going to give you £50 million now to make your game, but I need it released in 2 years' time, you might come to me and say, I need a bit more, I'll give you another month. But eventually I'm going to say to you, no, you need to release it.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
And we've
Exactly.
actually seen that in the past where, they've pulled funding from stuff and it's just had to go as it is.
Exactly. So I do have a sense of when a bad game comes out and it is bad, I sometimes think it's partly developers, but you have to have some sympathy because they probably were forced to put it out there.
Especially if it had the potential to be good, and the developers that are making a game they want to make. I mean, going back to Kamitani, it's a problem he doesn't have because he owns Vanillaware, so he can release his games as and when.
This is another advantage that some ways indie games have. Although they obviously have money, a lot of them potentially could, a lot of these indie developers are working themselves for full time or maybe working other jobs for themselves so they can afford to wait till it's ready to release a game.
Yeah.
Some can't. Some, they're living off that is their living, and in which case they have to release it. Mm-hmm. But as a double-edged sword, if you release a bad game...
But these days, way back when, you couldn't get away with releasing a game. If it was buggy and fucked, it will go down in history as a game that was just pure shit.
Yeah.
And there have been many games, like Shaq Fu and stuff like that. They just were not supposed to come out like that. They were just like, oh yeah, there it is. E.T. for the Atari 2600.
Oh,
Buried in the Nevada desert.
Yeah, fucking not actually... the dude, it was rushed, he admits it,
The programmer said, he basically said...
He had 5 weeks?
One programmer had to program the entire game by himself and do all the graphics, do everything like that, and what can you do when you're by yourself and you've got 5 weeks to program
if a game of E.T. came out today, it'd probably be a first-person shooter.
Yeah, probably. But then, when
E.T. phones home.
to
call in reinforcements. Actually...
You should be walking around with a red finger in front of you.
That was the sequel to E.T. There was going to be a sequel to E.T. where, one of the drafts, but basically E.T. was like the rest of his race were going to try and invade Earth.
That would be so...
That would be humorous, wouldn't it?
That would be a lovely. Can you imagine all the people taking all their little kids? They've just seen the lovely ET film. It's all lovely and nice and lovey-dovey. Let's go see the sequel, and basically it's aliens.
I didn't find E.T. lovely. He was a creepy little bug.
I found him creepy as well.
Oh my god.
Creepy little animatronic weirdo.
But still, so we've just kind of said, you know, games back then, you couldn't really release shit. If you did, you'd have a fucking massive black mark on you saying that game was absolutely shit. These days, I get it. You know, some of the publishers are going to like say, come on, bitch, you release that game now. But a lot of the times they do it. They're just like, okay, yeah, whatever, they'll buy that. We'll patch it later.
Yeah.
We'll do it later. Shouldn't happen.
No. It's whenever the publishers have got too much, not publishers, it is publishers, when they've got too much control over it, and they'll go in and say, we want the game, we like the game you've developed, however, Gears of War is popular at the moment, let's give it a few years, Gears of War, we want it to be more like that, or we want to be more like Call of Duty because that's what sells.
Yeah.
And ultimately, in a way, the publishers, they're the ones paying for it, they need to make their money back. They're the ones paying for it, they want their money back, so they have a right to say that.
Yeah.
But you don't want to destroy IPs over stuff like that, because that could destroy a company.
I mean, I can understand if it's something maybe that is really niche, but then again, it's not fair to the people that would play it, because those people...
Yeah, we've said that everyone has the right to have a game published that...
But then again, there's a lot of... Again, with Capcom, their games had a big fan base. They were semi-mainstream games, yet they've gone back and changed their games to kind of not really appease a fan base that is already there. Yeah. So they're missing
They've
great
kind of moved
opportunity
away,
there.
Looking for new people, completely ignoring the people who made them.
And their fan base has been built up over years, and it's massive. So to do that seems...
It's only really been like the last 10 years, hasn't it? They've just decided whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really silly decision.
Yeah. It's obviously somebody at the top of who's got to the top of Capcom who possibly doesn't really understand the market in a way. He doesn't understand what his core game market is, his fans. He just doesn't turn the mainstream.
I mean, look at Nintendo. I mean, we've talked about this a lot with Nintendo. For this next generation, and I'm going to rage just quickly about this again. Look. Right, someone just... Right, definition of generation. Someone, please.
Oh, I tend to go by hardware normally.
Right, but what would be... So, if I release a system, here's System A. Right. System B is exactly the same specs, but it's got, say, waggle controls and all that kind of shit. Would you say that is the next generation of systems?
No, the generation is the systems that are out at the time, I would say, even if they are...
exactly. It's the next generation, you know. My children are...
Yeah.
You know, so it has nothing to do with whether they're faster than me, stronger than me, or whatever. They are the next generation.
We'd be going into gaming eugenics then, which would be...
But this is... I'm afraid to
I
say
definitely
this
think
is
going to happen amongst gamers.
This is what happens with fucking gamers, and I am absolutely fucking sick of it. Coming to me and saying, no, that is not next gen. Because, like, the Wii was just an overclocked GameCube.
Yeah.
Right? The Wii U, they're like, oh, yeah, but that's only as powerful as a PlayStation 3. That's not next gen. It's like, well, you clearly don't understand what the definition of generation fucking is.
The Wii was potentially the biggest console of its time. It sold more than any of the other two consoles.
When they're like, oh, yeah, but the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 are coming out now, which we'll talk about fucking later. It's not next gen, man. It's not as powerful as them. It's like, it's got nothing to do with how fucking powerful the system is, you worthless little bastards. Go back and crawl into your mother's womb.
Yeah. Just quickly sort of talk things like Capcom and so forth. Do you think part of the cause of this, I know it's always generally been the case with consoles and so forth, but because you have to pay... You know, you have to pay a license to get on the console. You have to pay money to get your name on the console and into the console. Why would you make a niche game? Because you need to get that money back.
Yeah.
Do you think that's partly to blame towards this?
Possibly, yeah.
But you have to think, for companies as big as Capcom...
Yeah, well,
they're
Capcom
already
is different,
there,
isn't it?
You know, they were already there.
But we don't know quite how Microsoft charge them, do we? We don't really know quite how much. I mean, are they based on? Is it one-off fee license, or
but still, why go and punch your fan base in the dick? If you're going to make a game with their favourite IP,
Didn't
don't change
Nintendo
it.
recently admit that they made this mistake when they targeted casual gamers with the Wii, which was they potentially alienated their original, to begin with at least, with the Wii, alienated their original fan base by targeting really young kids and grannies and stuff.
But
and
Nintendo
going, here we are,
have always been...
here's Wii Fit. But then I think they went back recently, or somebody said something along the lines of, don't quote me on this, but that they were going back with the Wii U to try and then get their original audience back.
They did want to make it a little bit more grown up, because that was one of the main complaints that was one of the main things that fantards would kind of throw at Nintendo fans. Like, oh, well, that's a fucking faggoty kids console. So, but what does it matter? It's got the games on it that they want to play.
Yeah.
It's the platform they want. So it's not the one
Not
that you
all
want to
games
play.
have to be brown bloom.
Yeah, they don't have to be
generic
cover-based shooters with
gruesome shooters. Yeah.
But
again, if that's the sort of games you enjoy,
Yeah,
you're not going to buy a Wii. I mean,
Yeah.
we've got a Wii, but I never play anything on because there's nothing on it really appeals
that
to
you
me.
want. But you're not going to go and say to someone, well, look, if, say, for example, I did like waggle controls and stuff, you're not going to then say to me,
No.
well, fucking don't buy a Wii. If it's got what I want on it,
Yeah, you're going to get it.
then, why take the piss out of me for wanting to play on a system that maybe you don't? In fairness, though, we do rip into console games.
But I was going to say, when we were
are.
growing up, it was SNES versus Mega Drive and all that.
Yeah, we
stuff,
we
wasn't
had
it?
console wars, but I mean, as we said earlier,
Yeah, we never really got involved. I mean, my friend had a SNES. I'd go around his place and play his SNES, and he'd come around on mine and play the Mega Drive, and
exactly.
that was how it worked.
But now it's a little extreme.
Yeah.
And they are a lot younger kids who
Well,
only
most
really
of the
had.
console wars I actually remember starting with the PlayStation and the N64. There was a big one there. That was a big divide because they were so potentially different. Whereas the Mega Drive and the SNES were similar. I remember the Mega Drive being a bit more kind of edgy. The PlayStation was a very much more grown-up, edgy console, whereas the 64 kind of aimed itself more at younger gamers, but did potentially attract another crowd as well.
I just think that it's this generation of gamers. They're not quite plugged in up top, really. They grew up on Xbox 360, or well, they're not grown up on Xbox 360, but they got PlayStation 2s, or
Some of them have. I saw a little picture at the screen cap on Google or something the other day that said, "Share this if you nostalgia over this," and it's a picture of the first Xbox main screen.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, the dashboard. And I was like, well, if you're nostalgia over that, you must be quite young.
Yeah, because that's not exactly. Well, it is kind of retro, I guess, but it's not.
But for a generation of people, that is there.
It is,
It is their
You
retro.
can't knock them for that.
Oh, no.
That's not their fault for being born late.
No.
But it's the fact that.
But it's the fact
now,
that they've got to be quite young. It's hard to say nostalgia when it wasn't really
It's
that long
there,
ago, was it?
it's kind of Xbox, PlayStation 2 when it got online, up to PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, that really is, in my opinion, crushing everything that I love about gaming. I used to be able to hang out with my friends and play games. I was about the N64 and all that. I used to be able to go down to arcades. As soon as we got online gaming with these little fucking 13-year-old squeakers running around.
I think the worst invention in the world was making online gaming mainstream.
Yes, yeah.
That, I think, has been the biggest setback for game development, because so many games now it used to be single player first.
Yep.
And then put multiplayer in so you got a bit more fun, a bit more life out of it. Now it's, let's make a multiplayer game, but let's put single player.
The single player is effectively a tutorial now.
Yeah.
Well, which really it should be. A game should either be one or the other, shouldn't it?
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong. A game can have a good single player mode and a good multiplayer mode.
GoldenEye, for example.
GoldenEye,
both,
Time Splitters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
We did mention Time Splitters.
We were talking about that before, weren't we?
Good old Time Splitters. The games can do that, but the trouble is they've gotten this idea that everybody plays multiplayer. Well, I don't. I don't play multiplayer at all. I don't want to go and, I've discussed before, other people ruin my game.
Yeah, you don't want the squeaker to come in, gobbing, just screaming down the microphone.
Whenever I play PlanetSide, I have the chat muted, the whole thing.
Have you ever played Dark Souls?
No, I wouldn't play it because I've read about it.
Yeah,
I know
the potential for people to invade your game is pretty much
exactly
that embodied.
Why I wouldn't play it.
And that was one of your fears with Watch Dogs.
Watch Dogs, yes, because Watch Dogs has a mode in it where people can invade your game.
Yes.
And hack you, and I saw that and thought, I'm not going to play this game.
No.
You're going to have yourself disconnected from the net.
Exactly.
I mean, I think with Dark Souls it's kind of forgivable, mainly because the game centres around that. So,
yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
But with Watch Dogs, which, when you look at it, but thankfully you can switch it off, which is what I will do. So I don't want people to ruin my game.
I wish they would focus more on an actual story or campaign, something I'm going to remember, rather than online multiplayer. I don't even have my consoles connected to the internet.
No.
The Xbox isn't. The PS3 isn't. The Wii U isn't. The Wii isn't. I don't need it.
Yeah.
If I want to play a game where I need online, I will just plug in.
I have to admit, I'm mainly a co-op gamer. If I play an online game, I like playing co-op games. But again, that's going back to how we used to play games cooperatively when we...
Yeah, if a game has online co-op through the campaign mode, I'm sold.
Yeah,
that's fine. Yeah.
One of my favourite series in recent years, Army of Two, has an amazing online co-op mode.
Yeah.
It also has an amazing couch co-op
Didn't
mode.
they do the big thing with Journey on the PS3 where you potentially didn't know who you were playing the game with or anything about them? You just got put into a game with another random person and you had to rely on each other.
I fell in love with that game within minutes of turning it on. It looked amazing, the music was amazing, and I'm not really big on graphics either, but I would occasionally bump into another. There was no notification to tell me that there was someone else nearby.
Yeah.
But this person would just randomly kind of blipping on my screen, or I'd see something at the corner of my eye just float across the screen. I'm like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
And then you just kind of hear this little chirp go over, and all of a sudden you kind of develop this kind of emotional attachment
That's
to this
quite
other
cool
little
because it
human
adds that
character.
exploration element. And before we did the podcast, me and Luke were talking about something that we liked about old games, and was suggesting that maybe some of the cynicism we have for modern games is based on the fact that we are older.
Mm-hmm.
And I was remembering back to when I was young, I'm really into RPGs, but the first RPG I ever played was Shining Force 2. And one of the things I loved about it at the time was being a kid, I went out onto the world map for the first time and I thought, wow, endless possibilities. I could play a similar game now and not feel the same because I know what's going to happen. But back then it was like, oh wow, this is all new. This is all stuff I can explore. Anything could happen.
But would you say that modern gaming is... I'm interrupting, I know, sorry.
Yeah,
but
no, you're
like
right.
modern gaming is kind of squishing that because they've made everything so linear now.
Potentially, but then like what you were talking about with Journey, it kind of brings that back, doesn't it? Because you've got something happening that you aren't expecting. It makes it feel fresh and new, and it's giving you, something to explore, something different.
But then again, it wasn't really a very big release. It wasn't something you'd go to a shop. You
in
had
a way,
to be on...
that potentially is a good thing because it then will appeal to a niche market that will play it and will play it properly rather than having, general COD gamer come in and being why can't I shoot you to death and yada yada yada.
Sometimes I just wish I could line up COD shooters and just
shoot them.
And shoot them, yeah.
I really would.
Yeah.
So just save me the trouble. Just
Shoot them in a
stand
very
there.
scripted sequence.
Suck it down.
I don't think I'd hate it so much if it didn't dominate everything else. I think my potential problem with it is that it's infecting other areas of
Well, that's
gaming
like what they did with
due to publishers wanting to make their games like it.
So they've actually started to coin, what is it, Call of Duty syndrome? Or COD
Right.
syndrome, so like even Battlefield has gone that way now, where Battlefield used to be kind of arena-y, kind of capture the flag.
Yeah.
Really arcadey, kind of fast-paced, you could fuck around in vehicles and shoot the shit out of people and all that kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden, by Battlefield 3...
3's when it got very more realistic.
Yeah, they started to kind of say, right, here you go, here's the campaign mode, go, 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 go. And it's like, not really my kind of thing.
No.
I prefer, Vietnam.
To be fair, if I bought a Battlefield game, I wouldn't be buying a Battlefield game for the single-player campaign because I would know it's.
Well, no, but that's. Game. I mean, they have just really turned it into.
Yeah, it wasn't like I've not played it, but from what I've seen of it, Bad Company was based around the single-player co-op, wasn't it?
Mm.
Not single player, but you know what I mean, campaign co-op.
Everything has now got some kind of Call of Duty shit in it just to try and make money.
Yeah.
And what you said before about the whole exploration thing, how we just jump around and explore and do whatever. Achievements has partially killed that.
Yeah, if the achievement is there and you can see you can do it, then there's no sense of...
Yeah, you're going to go and do it. Just be like, oh, look, there's an achievement of it. And I've done it before. I've actually looked through an achievement list and I was like, oh, well, that's kind of spoiled part of the
Some
game
achievements are hidden, aren't they? Because I've unlocked achievements in Steam games and think,
Steam
they're
does
not
that.
on that list, so it's quite cool.
But it bugs me now that we don't just feel like we should explore, we have to follow the path. And we've played these games, we have now been kind of conditioned to how these games should play. And they're all going to be, you start to recognise things, you start to notice things, like, oh yeah, something's going to happen now, and an event is going to happen, because this is what's happened in other games before. Whereas before it was kind of, maybe it's just because gaming has matured, and I've just become some grouchy old bastard, but...
I think there's a video Turtle Biscuit did on something like this, where he, I know, I'm not particularly a big fan of Turtle Biscuit either, but he did a video of talking about, I think it was a Call of Duty game, where he was showing that if you walk forward at a specific point in the story, you die because you're not going the way that you're being drafted into going, which
I think that might have actually
works
been one of
in war,
the Battlefield games, but I'm just getting too old for gaming. A lot of the fun is just gone, and I'm actually I'm just gonna pretend all of this was kind of game news and hardware and other, because that really does tell into what is it really kind of worth discussing. The release of the Xbox One and the PS4. We have kind of beaten this to death already, but these two consoles, I do not understand why everyone is kind of deep-throating these things.
There's not anything released for either of them yet that appeals to me, really. I watched the PS4 when they first showed all the new stuff coming out for it. I was just like, well, there's nothing there for me. It was Killzone, and then Watch Dogs looked okay, but, you know, it wasn't my cup of tea. I'm not really a sandbox person when it comes to games, so I was looking at these games and thinking, there isn't a single game that appeals to me, really.
There's no sort of launch day titles that you think to yourself, because, I mean, when we got our PS2, we looked through the list, and I picked Time Splitters as the launch day game. That was a fantastic launch day game.
Yeah.
Mine, I really like. I don't think it might have been launch. I really like the Bouncer. We were talking about that earlier on.
I don't think that was a launch day.
So
it was very Zony Enders was. I think the Bouncer came out like literally about maybe a few weeks later. It was very early on in the PS2's life, and that potentially swung me into getting one because it was it was the next generation of sort of scroll and beat 'em ups, which kind of worked. It was a bit linear, but at least they tried something different, which now obviously Dragon's Crown has perfected and changed in its own way. But
so do we have rules on kind of what would make us buy these consoles? Because I keep bringing this up now that I've now got like a 3-game rule. Where unless a console has got maybe
I never thought I'd say it, but of the 3 bigger consoles, the one that appeals to me most is the Wii U.
Yep.
But that's mainly because I really love Kamiya, and he's done Wonderful 101, and that just looks like a fun game. It's something I think I could pick up and play and really enjoy. Whereas, there's nothing like that on the other 2 consoles.
I mean, to all the other console gamers out there, I might as well just hand over my gamer card to admit that I would rather have a Wii U over a PS4 or an Xbox. Wow, that's practically career suicide. I mean, I look at the shelf. I've got Zombie U. I'm one of the few people that actually enjoyed that game. As soon as someone said to me I could take a cricket bat to someone's head in London, oh yes, I was sold, and that's one of my.
But they talk about the game, though, or they just talk about real life?
No comment. Give me a cricket bat and let me loose in London for a couple of hours.
What about if you're outside of London and you're using a cricket bat? You're breaking some kind of cultural rule.
Yes, you are.
Well, I keep on making jokes that the zombies are really kind of slow moving, so it took me a fair few months to actually play the game. We got it when it came out, and I didn't play it for a fair while after. I said, well, don't panic, I'm on the East Coast. The zombies are moving ever so slowly up the A12, but London's in ruins, so it's just like in my dream journal, really. Kind of like with Resistance Fall of Man, that was my favourite part, that London was in ruins. I was like,
Last off the beer, right, put the bridge up. Cut off from the rest of it.
like, try it, you bastards. Yeah. And then all of a sudden it turns out they come from overseas, like, you bastards.
No, it turns out they're already here.
Yeah.
It's like, they've been here all along.
Yeah, it turns out that our town is actually where the zombies came from.
You are the zombies, that's the twist.
You just reminded me of something very quickly about Farcry, Blood Dragon. The guy has in it, one of the bad guys, he has the running dead.
Oh, nice.
Brilliant. Why can't they just call them
28
zombies?
days later, isn't it, really?
That reminded me of a PSP game, Infected. And one of the kind of key points, so that was the zombies moved really fast. That was it, like...
Why isn't there a game where the zombies move moderately? You know, they're not too fast, they're not too slow. They just, moving at a brisk pace.
Yeah, they're just, kind of... nice happy stroll.
He's a zombie jogger, you know.
That would really creep me out. Just imagine this zombie with a sweat, like a shell suit, a sweatsuit, and a headband on, wristbands.
Zombie jogger isn't alive, but he likes to test his cardio anyway.
How about a game where the zombies run away from you?
That would be really weird. Could you imagine that? Like, the zombies now fear you.
Well, we're moving into that Will Smith film that was really bad, but the book was quite good.
After Earth?
No,
I Am Legend.
I Am Legend,
where
yes.
he was... Really,
he was the bad,
he was the baddie, wasn't he? But then in the film they changed it.
Yeah, well, actually, in the original film keeps it.
It was a test audience, wasn't it? They
showed
it to a test audience.
Film from the 1950s.
Oh, right, okay.
The original I Am Legend. It's actually a remake. I imagine.
I love them remakes.
And basically, you go for it's similar storyline, slightly different. I think it was a nuclear war that kills it, because I think it was from 1957, but I was scared about nuclear stuff then.
Yeah.
I think it was a nuclear war that's sort of made by mutates.
All right.
And it's this guy who's going around and basically he was killing people, and then he found at the very end that actual fact they saw him as the monster.
Yeah.
And to
Which
them,
is clever.
Which is very clever. He was actually the legend was him as a monster, and basically he sort of accepted these were the new society. He thought they were just creatures and sort of animals, but actually they had a society he didn't realise, and it was a clever twist.
Yeah.
But I think they completely would change that in the Will Smith.
Yeah,
one.
apparently they showed it to a test audience, and the test audience found it very depressing, and so the
boo.
movie had to be changed to suit these plebs. And yeah,
Happy endings, people. Come on.
yeah, we have to have
So-
a happy ending. Yeah.
Just getting back onto this topic, I'm guessing then that neither you, because I mean I'm not a console gamer. I know I'm the one who put that in the show notes.
Yeah.
But I just put it in there because I thought I could talk about it. So I'm guessing at the moment neither you would consider getting one of these consoles.
No.
I'm getting sick of it flooding my social feeds.
Yeah.
And
It takes a lot for me to buy anything. I'm notoriously tight-fisted. I mean, I really have to have a reason. I mean, with the Vita, which is my most recent console, and I don't own any other consoles at the moment. I just have my PC and my Vita, and the Vita's doing a fantastic job for me because it's potentially releasing stuff targeted to me. There's a lot of arcadey stuff coming out for
and
it.
you've got a lot of the older kind of PlayStation
Yeah.
games and things like that being in the...
And some of those PlayStation games, seeing them on the OLED screen, it's really good. I mean, you play Final Fantasy 9 on that OLED screen, it looks fantastic.
Yeah, a game from over a decade ago.
Yeah.
It still kind of holds up. Mainly because it's on a portable screen, but...
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
What I find incredible with these new consoles is the price of them. You know, it's
Yes.
the Xbox is £429
I'd never-
for basically 3-year-old PC tech.
Yeah, I'd never buy one at launch. I'd always, if I was going to get a console, it'd have to be about a year
But
down
think
the
about
line.
it, the PlayStation 3 was about £600, wasn't it? When the
was something
N64
ridiculous,
came
wasn't
out,
it?
it was, what, £300-400, something
Yeah.
along those
It's
lines?
probably
as
about
well?
£600 now.
You know, so it's not like consoles have ever really been, been cheap.
No, I remember when remember when the SNES came out, when it launched with, because first it was Super Mario World, then Street Fighter 2, wasn't it?
Yeah,
And
yeah, the
they
turbo
were
pack.
very expensive at the time.
They're expensive for consoles, but you have to think, if you were to put £400-500 into a PC, you're not gonna. That hardware is not gonna last you for 6 years.
No.
You're not gonna be able to
that
play the
is
games
true.
for 6
That
years.
is to be fair. However, a PC, in my...
It's more than
That's
just for
just
playing
yes,
games, isn't
multi-purpose.
it?
It's more
And
multi-purpose.
with a PC, you can go back and play any old PC game, especially with like emulation
Yeah.
and stuff. And in fact, we now have GOG and DOSBox,
Yeah.
where you can go back and you can play your PC games
Yeah.
from
Which
years past.
all the new consoles, none of them are backwards compatible. None of them are.
Which that's actually something else that has annoyed me, because where we keep changing architectures and we've now gone to x86, that was actually part of my rant for Flashback, but I might as well bring it up now because we
Yeah.
are talking about the systems, where I said in the last podcast about some guys saying, look, because, right, Thorn, you can agree with me here that way back when a game system came out, Nick's not so much because you haven't played really any of the older systems. When games first came out for a system, they looked like shit.
Yeah.
Right, because people were still kind of cutting their teeth on the hardware, the new
Yeah.
architecture, and
Yeah.
how to really get the most
Oh,
out of the
yeah.
I mean, I
hardware.
remember
can
when
s-
the PlayStation 1 first came out, and I mean, it was great because we were being introduced to 3D for the first time, but the 3D was pretty bad. I mean,
Yeah.
even more so the Sega Saturn, if you remember the very first Virtua Fighter, it looked appalling, but we loved it and ended up at the time because it was 3D. And
Yeah.
I mean, we're jumping off a bit here, but I would personally say that was a good thing because developers couldn't rely on how their game looked to sell.
Yeah.
And because we were testing out new things, they dared to try different things. And our PlayStation 1, for instance, had a lot of very different styles of games.
Yeah.
Because people were experimenting.
You know, people had to, and back then you had to work the limitations of the hardware.
Yeah, so go on.
Well, I was going to say, but here's the thing, with the new systems, they have no excuse to really say, oh, we're having to cut our teeth here, because at one point, there were developers out there saying, yeah, man, these are going to be really easy to
They
code
don't
for
look
now.
very different, do they? I mean,
Well-
look, the PS4 and the PS3, for example, there's not a great deal of difference in how everything looks.
In my opinion, not really, but I haven't really seen any games running on them
No.
yet, like in the flesh.
No, obviously
But-
not. Yeah, we're a bit early to judge, but
The Xbox One, and the PS4 are basically now just PCs. They are low-end PCs
yeah.
because they are,
They have their own
x86 or whatever.
dashboards and stuff.
Yeah, they are really.
They are. I've seen the proof. They are basically you buy when you're buying a pre-built PC.
Yeah, and they're already maxing this stuff out. They're already struggling to get much more than say 720p. In some cases, they can't get more than 720p out of these machines already. And people are like, yeah, but they're just cutting the teeth. They're cutting the teeth. But the devs can't say it's going to be really easy to code for because it's just a PC.
Yeah.
And then
Which they've been coding for years.
yeah, and
Yeah.
then kind of backpedal and say, oh, well, we're just cutting our teeth. Like, no, you're not. You know what this hardware is. You know how to code for it. It's not like it's a brand new architecture that you've never had in a box before.
No.
Make up your fucking minds. Stop making excuses. You've already maxed out the hardware. This stuff is not gonna last 6 years or 5+ years or however long the last generation was. The only one that we can say could do that and could surprise us is the Wii U, because it's still following that kind of traditional. We've just stomp all this in. We've helped kind of make this, pick these bits out. Now you have to learn how to do it. Not said, right, PC, bam, in a box, put our dash on it, go.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
When we were saying the other day as well that a lot of Wii U games potentially look graphically superior to some of the
Yes.
PS4 games
I mean,
and
there are-
Xbox One games.
I think, and someone's probably going to stab me for this, but I think there are actually more games running native 1080p on the Wii U than there are on the PS4 and Xbox right now. I mean, a lot of games have day one patches to make them run at 1080p on the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 because people went shit mental when they found out they weren't. I was like, well, holy crap, guys, PC's going to be pushing 4K soon.
Yeah.
We don't need 4K, but we're going to be. The consoles are already being maxed out.
It's the amazing thing about being a PC game is that when all these new consoles come in, everybody sort of goes mad at these new features. You think, well, most of the time we've had them for years.
Yeah.
I remember when everybody went mad about multiplayer on the consoles. I thought, well, I've had it for years. And it doesn't. This is another thing I can't say with consoles. I don't get charged to go play multiplayer online.
Yeah, I'm definitely getting sad too. Yeah, we've had online multiplayer for a long old
15
time
years?
on the PC. Yeah.
And you don't get charged to play online. You pay your internet, you're done.
Yeah, once upon a time when you had to dial into someone else's machine to play
So you didn't even have
play
to
in
on
it.
the Dreamcast, though, did you? You could play online on the Dreamcast, and although it was very limited in what you could do,
Yeah.
you still didn't have to pay any extra fees. Not
Yeah.
that I
It depended
recall.
on where you were in the world.
Okay.
Because sometimes you had to pay like a hunter's license for Fantasy Star Online.
Right,
we didn't
okay.
in the UK, at least from what I was aware. But some places in the world you had to pay a fee to play and all that kind of stuff. But once you've had,
But
an
then
internet
again, I mean,
connection-
then you're looking at like Warcraft, aren't you? And then
Yeah.
the monthly fees.
But I mean,
on
like if you're playing
Warcraft.
Quake, then yeah, sure, you just dialed in and bam, off you went.
Choo Choo Rockets.
Yeah, fun game. Back when you had to work with the limitations of the system, it terrifies me that they're already maxing them out. They're already making excuses, and you cannot make the same excuses you have done for previous generation hardware because it's not the same game anymore. It's not the same type of hardware anymore. Coding for the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One is going to be pretty much the same. You're working with pretty much the same hardware. It's not cell processor versus PowerPC, whatever it was in the Xbox. I think it was PowerPC, Motorola, some kind of chip.
Yeah,
in
it
there.
was PowerPC. Yeah.
So it wasn't like it was two completely different boxes. Now it's the same shit. AMD chip. Hell, my PC's got an AMD chip in it. Woohoo! They're all going to play nice, right?
Well,
I mean,
maybe.
sure that
maybe.
they were all alright. I get it. There's going to be a few things different that they're going to have to, work around, kind of optimizing and that. But still, it's going to be a lot easier than it was before. And if they're already struggling to push a higher resolution than they did last gen,
This is a totally random thing I just thought of, but it's interesting to think that one of my favourite consoles of all time, and one of yours, I know, Luke, being the Dreamcast, although it was essentially an arcade console.
Yep.
Because it had Naomi technology and you played arcade games. Didn't it have like a Windows? It had Windows logo on it, didn't it?
Well, I've
Because
got a
it
Dreamcast
had-
by my feet. It says Windows CE on the front.
because it had Windows CE as the architecture for the desktop and everything, which was interesting considering it wasn't aiming to be a PC kind of console. It was actually more a console gamer's console, wasn't it?
I've never actually seen Windows CE actually run on the Dreamcast, though.
No.
I've never actually seen it, because I'm pretty sure you could get a disc
You
that
could,
you
couldn't
put
you?
in the system. But I'm not. I could be completely wrong there, but that was just something that I heard years and years ago. That there was, so you'd have like a little mini operating
But wasn't it,
system.
it was just how the actual Dreamcast HUD and everything worked, wasn't it?
It
Pretty
could have been. I mean, to this day, I still have the Dreamcast. I really do. I can still
It's a
put the games
fantastic
in.
little console.
Great games. I do not think I will be able to do that with the generations coming. I really don't. Especially the way they're locking them
do
down.
it with the generations past, since at least the PS2, Xbox, GameCube era. I can't go back and play those consoles. I can go back and play PlayStation 1, N64, and go back and play SNES, Mega Drive, Amiga, NES, but I can't play anything past that certain period, because that to me is when games started to change for the worse.
I'm terrified with the new systems as well, that they're all connected up to the internet.
Yes.
I've already said how this is kind of partly ruining. I mean, I get it. PC game is fine, but PC games have access to the internet and they are open. And if you want to patch a game yourself, you can.
And with consoles, to an extent, it could work, but it has to be implemented slightly differently.
Well, let's put it this way: when they shut down the servers for the console, the whole thing's locked down.
Yeah,
you
of course
can't
it is.
patch it
Yeah,
yourself.
absolutely.
No.
Once the servers are gone, they're gone.
I think another person that I watched on Alpha Omega Sin, he talked about a specific game that he had, I think it was for the Xbox 360, that he can't even play the single player on anymore.
Yeah, because there's no.
Because, he can't actually access. You need to have server access in order to play the single player, which is ludicrous.
Well, like Crime Hounds, for example, the single player was basically just a tutorial to get on the online game. It's a big old online mech game. Servers are gone. Can't play it. Fantasy Star Online for the Xbox. You couldn't play it unless you had an Xbox account, even just single player. You play it, you had to have an Xbox Live account.
Ridiculous.
So what happens when the servers get shut? And I'm sorry for anyone that thinks they're going to support the Xbox 360 and the PS3 for a seriously long period of time.
No, it's
Well,
not
yeah,
going to happen.
couple of years maybe, and that'll be
And then it's all gone. Your PSN is gone. If you haven't got them games downloaded, whatever, guys, that's gone. That is going to be gone. All the money you've invested in digital purchases, if your hard drive fails or you need a new system or whatever, you've lost it. It's gone.
To be fair, that's the risk of all sort of digital distribution. If Valve went bust tomorrow, all the stuff I've got on Steam I haven't downloaded, I've lost. To be fair, that's a flaw of any digital distribution server.
But on the PC though, you can get it. You can get it elsewhere.
If you get stuff through GOG, I know you actually can download the setup and keep the setup files so that you can exchange games with people, and you've got them there for whenever you want them, which is quite nice.
So the thing,
it's not reliable on DRM either to play. You can just play it.
But the thing with the
when.
PC is, as I said, it's open. So you, if you want to, God forbid, you can torrent a game. You can pull down a game from a torrent site. Bam, you can play it. Yeah. So it doesn't matter if everything gets shut down. If Steam gets shut down, you can still get the game and you can still play it. With the consoles, a lot of this stuff is just going to go away because you don't have enough control over the hardware to say, all right, now I'm going to download the patch. You're going to go to blah, blah, blah website, connect and download the patch. You can't. Once they shut down the server, the game would automatically check when you start it up. Well, once the servers are gone, it's not going to check anymore.
I mean, to Valve's credit, they did say if ever they were going to be in a situation where Steam would go bust, they would patch it in such a way that it would still carry on functioning, just on your computer only.
Yeah. Like, they'd probably warn you and say that you've got XYZ amount of time to download your games. They will be patched, and then...
They would, so then they would basically shut that. So to be fair to them, they've said they would do that. I hope it won't happen, but I'm sure it will, because everything dies.
I have more complaints about the new consoles.
Carry on.
More of them. They are being geared, because we've already said that, they're trying to cater to a certain audience. Like, we've got the cold oranges and all that kind of crap.
Yeah.
The gaming is going that way. Well, these companies have realised that YouTube is a big thing. Let's playing, game review and all that kind of stuff. Live streaming.
It's suffering at the moment, isn't it? Didn't a few Let's Plays have been targeted?
Well, that's not
showing footage of games. And
they
such?
have been, But now they are building in features to allow you to live stream directly off the fucking system. You can upload clips, highlight clips
PS4
directly
has stuff
off,
like this, doesn't
and the
it?
Xbox One is supposed to have it eventually as well if it doesn't already. Holy fucking crap, guys. Why? It's not necessary. It's not going to make my game any more fun.
All you're going to get now is tons and tons of people's crap videos of their
You're going to have to sift through more crap rather than the people who have actually put some effort into it.
Exactly, because I mean, at the moment with YouTube, you can't just, apart from food games, you can't just record it and upload it. You need to do a bit more work to it to get it on there.
Unless you're one of those people that records their screen.
Yeah, with the cameras.
Oh dear.
Yeah, that's very hilarious. But now, if it's built into the game, you know, any sort of XYZ, you know,
everyone's going to have it.
Yeah, everyone's just going, oh, to upload that. Or that was really cool how I just walked generically around this shooter. You'll just get 1,000 videos of the next Call of Duty or 1 million videos of the next Call of Duty, people doing the same level the same way.
You already do, but you had to be kind of invested in wanting to do that.
Yeah.
So you had to go out and buy a capture card. When I started live streaming console games, you had to go out and buy a dodgy piece of equipment and then kind of jerry-rig everything together with gaff and a mixing board and all that kind of stuff. Or you'd have to special order something from some random broadcast company to get in to connect up to your machine.
Exactly.
But now you go to PC World, everyone's got it. Now you buy a fucking console and it's right there.
This is the thing. It's when you put some ways, having obstacles to getting something out there is actually in many ways is a protection of it. It's a way of protecting the it's a way of protecting the integrity of it in a way, because the people who really want to do it have to go extra mile to do it. But I was saying earlier about making indie games.
Yeah.
If you kind of ensure the quality because they're passionate about.
You'll still get
crap
who are crap who just want to do it, but it's by making you having to go get a capture card, so you having to put more time into it. You know you're going to put more time into it. You've invested yourself more to it, and then you're going to try and do better.
Yeah.
Whereas now, if you can literally just get to the end of your game, hit a button, it's uploaded, it's done.
Yeah.
I mean, what's going to be really interesting is they build this all into the consoles, and then people start doing this, and then the developers start targeting them.
It'll become the equivalent of like Facebook status updates, won't it? When people get a program on that, and then they share the same bloody thing on the.
You mentioned that PlayStation 4. Oh my! Like I said, I'm getting a bit sick of it clogging my social feeds. Not just all the YouTube videos. Hey, look, I'm unboxing my PlayStation 4. Hey, look, some gameplay footage from PlayStation 4. It started spamming Facebook.
Right.
So when people get trophies, I don't know if you can. You probably can
you
turn
can do it on
off.
PS3 as well, can't you?
But it seems to be on by default on the PlayStation 4, and a couple of my friends in the States have got PlayStation 4s. They've been playing them, and my fucking wall is full of, I've done this on the PlayStation 4, I've played this game, I've done this, I've got this trophy. It's like, look, if you can turn off the feature, turn it fucking off, or I'm going to have to block you. I don't go on Facebook much unless I'm there to troll or to talk to family, but please, stop fucking doing it.
There should be a limit to how many on Facebook. Should be a limit to how many updates you can do in a day.
Kind of like what they did with Twitter. There was like a only so many times you can actually use.
Yeah.
There should be a limit to how many times you could use the API on a certain device.
Or if you don't want to limit stats, a limit how many times these third-party programs can update it for that reason. Because you just get thousands and thousands. It's like Netflix. It's the same thing if you don't switch it off.
Yeah, I hate stuff like that.
Yeah. And on Netflix, there's no easy way to. You either have disconnected completely from your Facebook account, or you can't switch it off.
See, here's that's the thing. When it first,
you have to manually don't show on every video.
I'm pretty sure when Facebook came out in the UK, they said, I could be completely wrong, but I'm pretty sure that was one of the big forces on it. Yeah, sign up with your Facebook account, or you needed a Facebook account to get in. And I was like, I refuse to.
Don't a lot of games now, like I know Magica does it, and a few other games have on their desktops when you enter the game little Facebook icons so that you can log into Facebook with said game.
Yeah,
that was on. I recently downloaded Dirt. Oh, what was it called? One of the Dirt games, and I was downloading because I bought a steering wheel for my PC. I just want to try see if a racing game would work with it. I downloaded the Dirt demo, and that's got built into the options. You can link up. You can put your YouTube details. Actually, when you set your profile up, you've got your profile name, all that, and then at the very bottom it's got where you just type in your YouTube account and emails, and it just connects to your YouTube account. It's done. It's built into the game now. And so a lot of people are doing that now, but all they must get now is tons and tons and tons of videos
Yeah.
of that game.
Absolute crap, because no one cares anymore. It's all shit. It's all absolute shit. These next consoles, they could release something that's going to be amazing and blow me away, but
There will be amazing games on them. There will be. It's inevitable. There's by sheer odds there must be some good stuff on them. There's going to be good stuff on them. You can't get away from that. The good stuff playing upon the PC as well.
I mean, like PS3 had some exclusives. I mean, I'm not really a fanboy, but I did lean towards the PS3 over the
PS3
Xbox.
did
but
have
only because of the exclusives. Like
Yes.
I mean, a lot of the games that were on both consoles are good. But PS3 had Yakuza, which I love, and stuff like that.
Neptunia, Rain, Journey.
Yeah,
exactly.
potentially that other Team Ico game, Last Guardian, that didn't get released. Valkyria Chronicles.
Yeah, brilliant game.
Just stuff that made me want to play the PS3.
The Dragon's Crown weren't on Xbox, was it?
No, Dragon's
see,
Crown
so
is
there you
only
go.
on the Vita and the PS3.
So there you go. I actually checked to see which systems, last gen, Wii, Xbox 360 and PS3, which system had the most exclusives that I wanted to buy, which would make me kind of sway to each system.
The Wii had quite a few good ones, didn't
It did. I think the Wii and the PlayStation 3 were both kind of tipping into the 20s. Which, I mean, 20 games, considering how big the libraries were for them
Wii,
systems.
for me, had Muramasa, Pandora's Tower, Xenoblade, Chronicles.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, lots of good sort of...
Trauma Center and games like that.
Yeah, just games that do appeal to outside of the general FPS boxes, you know.
But then I looked at, say, Xbox, and I was probably pushing no more than 9. And that, I mean...
The only thing Xbox had for me that I was so gutted about was they had Guardian Heroes on their arcade store, which is not on PSN. So I can't have it on my Vita, which I'd love to have Guardian Heroes
I mean, they had...
on the go.
On the Xbox 360, just spewing a few off the top of my head, we've got Bullet Witch. That was pretty fun, but most people over here hated it because they were like, oh, it's broken now, it's really hard, but it was actually quite a fun game if you got into it. Chrome Hounds, which they shut down the servers for.
I mean, I used to quite like Halo at one stage. Like,
Once upon a
I'm
time.
not really big into FPS, but it was entertaining. At least the second one was the last one I played.
Yeah.
So
Halo 3 was basically... Halo 2 was Halo 1. Halo 3 was Halo 2.
right.
So they were basically 0.5 updates or whatever. You know, they were just updates on the last game, kind of like what they did with Assassin's Creed. Assassin's Creed is just like an expansion pack all the way through.
Yeah.
What I found amusing about Halo is that Microsoft tried to use it to convince people to buy Vista.
Yeah, 'cause wasn't that that's how you got
Exclusive to
Halo
Vista.
2?
Yeah, Halo 1 was exclusive to Vista.
No, it wasn't, because I had it on
Was it Halo 2?
1. Yeah, it was Halo 2.
Yeah.
Because Halo 2 is when they started to implement Xbox Live style stuff or
Yeah.
Windows Live on PC.
Apparently, within, I think, about 6 hours of it being released, someone found a way to patch so you could install on any Windows.
Yeah, that was stupid.
I
move
knew
by
it would be.
Microsoft.
I mean, that was so obviously, there's nothing in that game needed to
No.
run. Nothing at all. That was just Microsoft being a bunch of dicks.
Yeah, pretty much, and it didn't work. By the way, guys, for everyone that's a fan of Halo, the original series that started that was a Mac exclusive.
Marathon.
Yep.
And a lot of people don't
And
realise
I'm
that
not
Halo
talking
was
about
originally meant to be an
Snickers.
RTS as well.
And that was being developed on the Mac as well, wasn't it, before it got pulled over to the Xbox?
How things could have been different.
Yep. I mean, it was supposed to have life in it for a start, and then they...
Well, I never thought I'd see the day that Sonic was in Nintendo games.
No,
But there you
oh
are.
my God,
It
yeah.
happened.
Yeah. And just think about it, way back when, like, Donkey Kong was on ColecoVision and Atari and stuff like that. And
I mean, I'm remembering sort of the big feud Sega and Nintendo had. I mean, like, yeah, Sega does what Nintendo don't, and all these other things. And
Genesis does what Nintendo does. That was the old American art.
advertising, wasn't it?
Back then,
And
the systems
Sega
were...
CD that used to always make digs at Nintendo, didn't it?
I always loved the Power Glove. It's so bad. It really was.
It was in that film, wasn't it?
Yeah, The Wizard.
The Wizard.
It was that was an interesting piece of hardware. It was great for Rad Race. I loved that game, but fuck, I'm old. I don't know what I think to the new consoles. At the moment, I don't like them. I like the Wii U. It's got games on it I actually fucking want. But all people keep talking to me about on the PS4 is the new Killzone game, and I quite like Killzone. Or
Yeah, I quite
Destiny.
like Killzone.
If you say to me a game that's already out on... Because I was talking to Ulaf today, Tim from college, and he was listing off games he wanted on the PlayStation 4. but a lot of them were already out on the PlayStation 3. It's like, well, I'm not going to go out and buy them on the PlayStation 4 when all they are upscale ports of the previous games.
Yeah.
So,
unless you're getting something special about them, putting some PS4 exclusives, something to make it worthwhile buying them.
yeah, I think they said like the only difference between one of the games that he wanted was that on the PlayStation 3 it was running at 900p, and on the PlayStation 4 it'd be running at 1080p. I was like, ooh, and that's a day one patch, right? He was like, yeah. I was like, yeah, don't want it. Don't want it.
Yeah.
If that's all you're going to give me as a resolution bump, don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Marvellous.
Right, moving on. I think it's time to talk about Thief 4. I did mention this briefly in the podcast, but I've just discovered I've actually got another Thief fan with me here.
Yes.
They're a rare breed. We don't find many of us around.
I am quite a big fan of the series.
Yeah. So, I'm presuming you've been having the same thoughts and feelings I've had about the new Thief.
I think I've had them to a high potential, actually, from what we've spoken about.
Yeah.
Like, I did have some of the same, but it's gone an extra level for me, because I already have like a bone to pick with Square Enix about various things.
Yeah.
Do not like the way that company has gone. Potential gameplay problems, potential story issues, potential development issues.
Yeah. There has been some good news. The QuickTime events that they were going to have, which I hate in games, most games would just let you be inventive and think you're out of a problem, but no, press Q to do something. They've been gone.
Which is good.
Which is good. And this silly focus ability, which again basically is slow-mo, looks like they've pretty much pared that down as well, which is good, so I'm glad about that. I mean, I'm prepared, because it's made by Ios Montreal, and they did Deus Ex, Human Revolution, and that was good.
Yeah, I've not played that. I must admit, I'm not a big fan of the Deus Ex series.
No.
I could see why Deus Ex is popular. This is the first one for the potential of choices you could make. But I could never really get into it.
If you're not into sort of cyberpunk or anything like that...
I do, actually. I mean, I'm a big Blade Runner fan. But I don't know what it is about Deus Ex that I couldn't get into. I've tried to play it a couple of times, and I've gotten a little way into it. I got quite far into it on my last playthrough, but there's just something about it that doesn't draw me in.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but again, I wouldn't ever badmouth it. It's not a bad game. It's just a game that just doesn't appeal to me for some reason.
No, I like Deus Ex. It's one of those few games that I've actually played more than once. It's how I was.
See, and a lot of people tell me that, and it's funny because a lot of people have recommended it to me and then seemed genuinely disappointed when I haven't been able to get into it because they thought it would be my kind of game. But
yeah, I mean, I was going to say something. I thought if you like Thief, you'd like Deus Ex. Yeah. Deus Ex Revolution.
I think really the problem is the characterization, because Thief has a lot of character, and Garrett himself is quite a big character.
Oh yeah.
Whereas as JC, potentially he was supposed to be really, but doesn't have that character. He's meant to be like a blank slate, isn't he?
The acting of Deus Ex was atrocious.
Yeah, and other than Gunther Herman and his quite humorous pieces, I didn't really like any of the characters that much.
Deus Ex is one of those games when you actually analyse each individual component of it, it's all rubbish. Right. It's when you sort of think about how everything worked, it's all sort of rubbish, but somehow when it combined together, it made this fantastic game that was better than certain parts. It's like when you get games sometimes where every individual component sounds fantastic, but when you combine them all together, they just don't work.
Yeah.
Just don't gel properly. It's one of the biggest. I mean, I loved it. Invisible War we don't talk about.
No. I did play that one as well, but
we don't talk about
enjoy that at all.
Now, let me ask you, I made this point, let's see if you agree with me. If Invisible War had not been called a Deus Ex game, it was just a generic science fiction shooter game, do you think people would have liked it more?
I don't think so, actually.
Really?
There wasn't much about it I particularly... And it's one of those games that, as we were talking about earlier, felt very unfinished. It didn't have much polish to it. It was... Yeah, I don't know. The aspects of it were okay, I suppose. But, again, I wasn't heavily into the original Deus Ex, so...
Because of Ios Montreal did Human Revolution, that was very good. I'm prepared to give Thief 4 the benefit of the doubt, however I've still got concerns over it.
Yes.
The fact they've listened to some people, and they've still not returned the original voice actor.
No, which is bad, because Garrett was a great character. Is Stephen Warner the actor's name? It's Stephen Russell, right, that's it, yeah. Couldn't remember. Stephen Warner's probably someone totally different, but...
Steve Russell is one of those people who's been in like every game under the sun. You don't realise
you just don't notice, do you?
But he made that his character, and you knew what Garrett was like just from the voice.
Yeah.
You just need to listen to one briefing by Stephen Russell and character, and you know instantly what Garrett's like.
Yes,
But
absolutely.
The new guy, you don't. He's
No.
just a generic
I mean,
protagonist.
I was already put off by the gameplay, but then obviously want to keep up with what's going on with the game either way. I watched what is essentially the intro movie to the game, which was a trailer that was released, and it now has Garrett as some revolutionary who's trying to help the people fight against the man. And although Garrett fought against the man, as it were, the government and that in his own way, he didn't really give a damn about anybody else.
He didn't.
I mean, he did to an extent. He had that kind of reluctant hero in him, in that he saved the city on more than one occasion.
But not through his choice. He was quite happy to carry on. It's just through the way fate rolled the dice that made him do
Keeper Artemis was like his moral compass, wasn't it?
Yeah.
If Keeper Artemis hadn't been around, Garrett might have been less likely to step in. And then there was the deal with Victoria in Thief 2. Kind of pushed him to fight against Karras. I suppose the fact that Karras was always breathing down his neck as well. Funnily enough, we were talking about Stephen Russell voicing other characters. He voiced Karras,
He did
didn't
indeed,
he?
yeah.
Very different sounding
You
character.
wouldn't believe they're the same character.
Like an evil version of Droopy.
He was, yeah. It was hilarious, and you can actually hear, because you actually hear his last speech as well on Deadly Showers.
He was hilarious and at the same time terrifying, like a very vindictive villain, wasn't
Stephen
he?
Russell actually the voice of the Eye?
He might have done, yeah.
And he done one of the guards as well. Because obviously when the first Thief came out, they didn't have a massive budget, so he did a lot of the characters in the game. You wouldn't think it, because they also, but generally it's all slightly more comedy characters he tended to do.
Yeah, and Thief does have a few comedy characters, Benny the Drunken Guard.
Yeah. What would be good? I love the Thief Deadly Showers with that sort of montage of the guard who had that.
The illness, wasn't it?
Yeah. And he couldn't believe how it sort of cleared itself out. A cut, wasn't it? A cut affected. And just those little bits of him. I hope they've managed to maintain that somewhat, because if they haven't, they've lost the spirit
It does seem like they've gone this edgy, grimdark kind of way of looking at it, and I don't like that. Thief did have a dark, comical element. And it was done in a dark way that wasn't overly edgy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It had an atmosphere to it, which seems to be being lost with this new
it's
iteration of the game.
I think it's Thief Assassin's Creed.
Yes, I think I'd agree with that.
But I'm going to get the benefit of the doubt, and I'm going to wait for it to come out. I've already pre-purchased it, so I'm going to find out what it's going to be like.
Right.
And I've got my fingers crossed. But I'm prepared to be disappointed.
Yes. I'm just the opposite end of the scale, not even bothering. To think of it makes me physically ill, so...
Well, we'll see when it comes out.
Why do they have to keep rebooting series though recently?
It's not a reboot though.
Well, they're saying it's...
Sometimes they say it isn't.
They're carrying it over, aren't they? They're trying to make it like Garrett suddenly gained this moral compass out of nowhere. There's no real explanation for it, and I don't like the fact that he is, because he was always very typically chaotic neutral, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He's a thief. He was out for his own interests.
He was out for his... He was just a normal... Well, I say normal. He's a normal person who's just trying to make ends meet. He had to pay his... I mean, often he said, I'm doing this job because the rent's due.
Yeah.
Same level thief to male age. Oh, I'm going to go raid the warehouse district because the rent's due. Actually, it's third level. Because the rent's due, the landlord's coming around tomorrow, so I need to go steal some stuff and sell it. That's what you do. But now, of course, because every game protagonist has to have some cool... He now lives in a clock tower.
Oh,
Whereas
God. I didn't even realise that, and that just made me hate it more.
Deadly Shadows, he was just like some
lived in a dingy little apartment, didn't he?
He lived in an apartment, like this block. It was literally a dingy... Although it was still the biggest one in the whole building, because if you picked everybody else's spot, they had like a little single room.
Yeah.
He had this proper like sort of...
He managed to wing a fireplace for himself somehow.
It was a pretty dingy little place, but it was still a dingy little place in the middle of nowhere. And he's just a normal guy, really, just living out in this fantasy world, just living day to day.
He was pretty much your everyday sociopath, wasn't he? He wouldn't leave the house unless he had to thieve, and didn't like interacting with people. Yeah. Was all about stone. So why he'd suddenly have this revolutionary need to help people who he doesn't really give a damn about?
It's just what people think characters need to be like now. Characters have to be sort of, or it's in some ways it's going back to how characters used to be. You know, you go back to the sort of like the early comic books. Every character was very virtuous.
I think that's why I really became attracted to Thief, though, because he wasn't a typical hero, but he also wasn't an anti-hero, and he wasn't villainous either. He was just him. Yeah, he was a thief. Person. And I don't like the fact that they've now made combat a big thing in this new game, because if I remember correctly, the harder difficulties in Thief, you had to complete the game without killing anyone. The idea was to
did,
ghost missions, which made the game really fun, because you, especially like that level in number 1 with the hammer haunts, which was utterly terrifying, but brilliant because of it, and because you had to sneak around or you would die. They would kill
the
you.
undead though, couldn't you?
You could, yeah.
You could kill
I
the
think you can
undead.
actually kill the hammer haunts, but
They are
they were
undead.
very hard.
Yeah. No, it's. You are right, and also in the usual Thief, even on easy settings, combat was really tricky.
Yeah,
You were like, if you got sort of 2-on-1, you were almost certainly dead.
yeah.
And even 1-on-1, because the guard would come at you with a sword and sometimes a shield as well.
In a
and
way,
you just
though,
had
I
a
mean,
dagger.
that kind of makes Garrett heroic in his own way, because he didn't used to like killing, because
No,
he
he
didn't
didn't.
like impeding on other people's lives the way he didn't like people impeding on his. So he wanted to be his own guy, away from everybody else, doing what
Yeah.
he did, and that kind of gave him
But the game gave you the option to do it.
yeah, it
That's
did.
what I
yeah.
respected. It gave you
It
the
was
option
there,
to be.
but it was again, it was there, but it was more of an escape thing, wasn't it? It was
Yeah.
to get away, not to just kill your way through the game.
And as we all know, any true thief escape pods would just throw a flash bomb and run away around the
Yes.
corner. So, well, that's Thief. So hopefully we'll see when it comes out. We'll see.
We'll see.
So, moving on to Flashback.
Flashback. Someone could say Thunder Tits.
Thunder Tits.
That's fair.
You have no idea what that means, unfortunately.
I have no idea what that
No,
means.
fair
It's a Hyperdimension Neptunia reference.
Yes.
Right.
It's one of the things that actually got me into wanting to play the game.
Okay.
My wife plays the game. Within the first 5 minutes, one of the main characters insults the other main character. Like, she says something, it insults her. She then comes back by screaming at the other character and calling her Thunder Tits.
Right.
So, yeah.
Which we then worked out was probably also a spin-off to Thundercats,
Yeah.
the porn version.
Yes.
It's a long story.
Excellent.
You have to listen to episode 2 really to understand what went on there.
I shall put myself through that at some
Yeah,
point.
good.
You
fair
will
enough.
suffer through
Yeah, yeah. So, Flashback. So, do you want to start or shall I?
I've already had my massive rant on the whole kind of development cycle for the new consoles, whether or not they can use the excuse of they're having to cut the teeth on the new hardware, or is it really as easy as they first said it was, so we can scrap that completely. We did talk about the Bible.
We
in
did.
The audio book.
This-
We were completely off by how long the Bible was. It's actually...
I think we've guessed 19 hours.
yeah, something
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Like,
Who reads it? Who's the reader?
I have no idea.
I did look.
there were a couple of versions.
There's a
on
couple
there.
versions. The one I found on iTunes, I can't remember the reader. Apparently, he's like this really famous voice actor that I've never heard of.
I'd never
I'd
buy...
like to hear the Bible by Gal every time the word Satan arises. Satan! Just like, yes, that'd be interesting. Or the Bible read by King Diamond, that also would
That
be
would be
interesting.
amazing.
in falsetto.
The entire time.
But we discovered we were on 2 different versions. One I found was 69 hours long, but Luke's managed to find it's 98 hours long.
Yeah, I mean, the trouble is if you buy just a little bit of a... kind
Isn't
of a
only
boring-
hours one read by Stephen Hawking by any chance?
Oh,
That would be amazing.
That's another one on the list.
They're kicking the deck right there, but hey, whatever.
No, I was more guessing because he wouldn't be interested. He'd be much more interested in sort of if he was reading
It's
something.
like kind of trail off onto
Yeah.
black holes and...
I just realised that means if you started listening to the Bible now, it would take you 4 days and 2 hours to listen to it from end to one end to the other. Do you know when the guy who recorded just sat there for 4 hours?
Could you imagine that by the end he's a dribbling wreck?
And then the God said something. Oh,
Yeah, that was the majority of it. And then the last kind of, 15 hours, it was
Right,
just kind of...
holding Garry at gunpoint. Read the Bible. There's your achievement. Make Garry read the Bible for so many days.
Read it! I mean, right, just a warning for anyone that wants to buy Audible audiobooks over iTunes. Don't do it.
no.
This time. For the simple reason that I did that to
You're
start with.
listening to Audible.
Well, no,
Audio.
that's not the problem. The problem is, well, one, not only are they Audible audiobooks, which is an Amazon company, at least it is now. So the audiobooks are the same price on iTunes as they are if you'd have paid an Audible subscription. So Audible, you pay a subscription of £7, you get a credit, you get a book for £7 effectively. On iTunes, same price. If you go to Audible without a subscription, you have to pay like full price, which is like 40 quid, which is what you'd pay for the CD or whatever. But I'm a big fan of Terry Pratchett books.
Oh yes, me too.
Yeah.
Those audiobooks are great.
One of
Nigel
my-
Planer, Tony Robinson.
Yeah, one of my favourites, well, as Stephen Briggs for the later books.
Oh, okay.
But like one of my favourites way back was Going Postal, which was the first of the Most Prolific trilogy. And when I bought it off iTunes, I was like, I don't really want to get a subscription to Audible for one book. I'll just get this and see how it goes. Well, not only does it turn out minus from Audible, 2, it was missing bits. It was the unabridged book with chunks missing.
So it's the abridged book.
No, they just.
So it's the abridged, unabridged book.
Yeah, it was sold as the unabridged book. It was the unabridged book because abridged books are read by Tony Robertson.
Right.
And the full book was read by Stephen Briggs.
All right.
But 15 minutes of the book was just gone. A big speech, a key point of the story was just gone. There would be like a little jump in the audio, and then you'd be, half a chapter ahead. And it's like...
So it's actually missing from the audio itself?
Yes, it was just gone.
So it'd been recorded, but cut from the audio?
Yeah, it was almost like iTunes had just kind of lost a bit somewhere. And it wasn't there. I tried re-downloading it and all that kind of stuff. It just was not there. So then I got really sketchy about getting stuff off Audible, but I got given a free credit from a mate. Because he's like, oh yeah, I've got like a free trial for Audible, go sign up or whatever. So I signed up, got the same book, exactly the same book, but in full. Don't buy audiobooks from iTunes. Just fucking don't. If it comes from Audible, go to the source. It's like if you're going to get the internet. If it's going through BT Copper, get it from BT. Don't go to like TalkTalk or Sky or whatever. Go to the goddamn source just to make sure you get the proper stuff that you're paying for.
Top tip of the month there for you.
There you go. Don't use fucking iTunes for audiobooks. Rage, swear, screw you, 98 hours of the Bible.
Right, well, I've got I've got a few things to just quickly run through. Last month, I told the story of how people were being tricked in Japan, actually it was in the end, by some enterprising person decided to shave lambs that look like poodles and sold to people in Japan because they didn't know what poodles look like nor what lambs look like. Turns out it was a load of bollocks.
Research, Nick. You're
I know.
me now.
I know. I actually I was listening back to the first podcast, and I point out how I'm going to check things out. And I didn't check that. I mean, who'd have thought the Sun couldn't be trusted? Who'd have thought that the Sun newspaper wouldn't have researched their stories? So yeah, it's an urban legend. It's not even on Snoops, so it's round and truly doomed.
Off the shelf. Ready for people to grab. Tits on the 3rd page.
There you go.
How could that not
be trusted? I talked about Ghostmasters developers. I didn't know what happened to them. It turns out they went bust the year after they released it. And they were cool. They're fantastic. They have sick puppies. I'm not sure. I mean, as developer names go, it's got to be one of the most weirder ones I've heard. They only made 2 games. They're actually a British company.
What were the games they made?
One was called Ghostmaster, which we talked about last one, which is like this really bizarre sort of RTS haunting house type game.
It's on Steam often on sale, I've noticed.
Yeah, it's 75. I bought for 74p in the Halloween sale.
The look of it reminds me of an old Mega Drive game called The Haunting.
That, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but I can't remember the other one they made. But I can't remember it now. But they did make another one.
They did make another game.
They did, but who knows what they made it. But yeah, they literally they released Ghostmaster end of 2003. Then 2004 they went bust.
Right.
So it's a bit of a bummer, really.
It was.
You seemed to quite enjoy the game.
Yeah.
Well,
it was okay. It's okay if you like that sort of thing, but that's such a niche market. You don't like to play it.
Simulator.
Yeah, true. I also finished Far Cry 3. I actually finished Far Cry a month ago, but forgot to talk about it. The ending is just ridiculous.
Meh.
Yeah. I mean, spoilers for the ending. You get to the very end of the game, and
wait. Can I guess? Because I still haven't finished it. You have an option to stay on the island and become part of the little tribe, or fuck off back with the little rich boys.
Oh, no. Well, sort of.
I was wrong. How could a generic game... No!
You have the option to either...
Kill your mates?
Yes.
Woohoo!
You can... Your friends who you spent the whole game rescuing, and the big part of the game is rescuing, you have the option to cut all their throats, after which you then have sex with Citra, and she then kills you. That's option A. Option B, the woman sort of priestess person.
I'm sure I'll find out. Is there an option to kill her? Please tell me the other option is to kill her.
Well, sort of. Option B, you refuse to kill your friends, and then everybody sort of gets aghast, and then Dennis comes up, and he says, what are you doing? He goes to stab you, and then Citra gets away, and he stabs Citra instead by accident.
Sweet. Well,
Sweet.
I fucking knew Dennis was.
But whatever
dodge.
you do, that you didn't have the credits, and then you're just outside the temple, back on the island.
Sounds weird if she's killing you on one ending and then saving you in the other.
Yeah, I know, it's bizarre. And the ending when she kills you is the one where you do what she asks.
I thought the other option would have been you spare your friends,
Women
and
are
then rather than
complex creatures, even in video games.
you spare your friends, and then rather than sleeping with her and getting murdered, you kind of choke her with your wang, and then
BioWare, take hints for your romance options. Potentially they could be killed or kill you.
They did have a woman who kills you in Mass Effect 2.
Did they?
They did. Did you play Mass Effect 2?
I don't like Mass Effect, I will admit. I'm an old... I like Baldur's Gate and those kind of games, and when BioWare started with Dragon Age and Mass Effect...
Alright, Dragon Age, the first one's okay, second one's not so
Second
bad.
one's atrocious.
Mass Effect was good. If you like, but I suppose if you don't want sort of sci-fi sort of...
I am,
RPGs.
though. I really like the thing it was supposedly based on, which is Farscape, one of my favourite sci-fi series.
Farscape? Who told you it's famous
somebody
for
was saying
Farscape?
that Mass Effect was greatly inspired by it, not based on it, but there was...
I'm no offense, I have to absolutely disagree.
Yeah,
I
as
can't
somebody who
see
hasn't played it,
anything-
I can't say whether it was or
I
not.
can't see anything about Mass Effect that makes me feel... Not one point that I
Oh, well, that's
compare it
good
to
then,
things
because I really like
Farscape.
Farscape and I didn't like Mass Effect. I'd only played the first Mass Effect
you're a bit
so
worried
far
there's a bit
into
of a
it.
disconnect, and you
But
start
yeah,
questioning.
Yeah.
there is a romance option which at the end of it you die.
Oh.
Good.
Just so you know. And the other thing I finished was Thomas Was Alone, which we spoke about a couple of episodes back. I got
Enjoyed it?
Yes, I got on Steam. A slightly sort of melancholy, sort of sad ending. It's a funny ending too. I'm not quite sure. There's a bit in it where you feel that you're playing the sequel. You go through so far, you think you've come to the end, but then you get another set of levels and they feel like the sequel.
Okay.
There are some ridiculously hard bits. There's a bit where you have a double jumping character, and what you have to sort of do, there's like these levels, but each, this is going to be very hard to describe. You have to sort of jump outwards once and then jump up again, do your double jump backwards, sort of loop round these levels. Bloody hell, it took me ages to do that. It's really tricky to time work. If you miss it, because as you work your way up, if you miss it once, you just fall right back to the beginning again.
Right.
God, it took me ages.
So I think I'm only up to the part where you meet the character Laura, the kind of laid back character with the spring that helps the characters jump.
Oh yeah, I think that's about sort of section 3 of about 10 sections.
Okay, that's
So
fair.
yeah, it's but it's an interesting game, and there is a story to it, but the story is fairly heavily. You have to sort of really extrapolate it. It was one of those where afterwards I played it, I had to go on Wikipedia and look up the plot to actually understand what had gone on. But to be fair, I do it quite a lot of games. I struggle I don't seem to be able to follow the plot very well, so I have to go on Wikipedia and look it up. So there. So that's my flashbacks. So it's time for my favourite section. Weird news.
Right, so we've got a guest here. This is going to be great.
This is gonna be
you're going to be able to blow both of our minds.
Or try. Basically, I trawl the news sites for the weird news stories, and then because Luke doesn't read the news, so I sort of throw them out
So
there.
I can't read.
Yeah, you
If
can.
you haven't guessed by the amount of times I say fuck in an episode, I'm not very intelligent.
Yeah. So we do sort of. I pick up food, so I pick up 4 a month or so, and we just see if I can blow his mind. We've got a bit of a weird news flashback. I talked about last month about stupid 999 calls. Yeah, people like saying, "Oh, my cat's gone missing," or "I've lost a pair of glasses. Can you help me?" And
I've got my cock stuck down a tree.
Well, it turns out that there's been a record number of 999 calls over Halloween. Gloucestershire. This is by Gloucestershire Police who revealed this.
I keep seeing white things round about and zombies.
A one call, a woman rang police to complain her partner was trying to put a spell on her using witchcraft. Right, now think about this one. A man in Stroud dialed 999 to say he's being poisoned by a satellite controlled by witches. I love these witches, his age, who use a satellite.
That's very Terry Pratchett, isn't it, really? Yeah.
I love that. I just love the idea of witches who decided to go for the times. We're going to use a satellite now, not a crystal ball. We use a satellite dish. Also, a boy from Gloucester out to tell them he was a wizard. Why you'd ring up the police and say, "Hi, I just say I'm a wizard." It's like randomly up saying, "Hello, I'm a doctor." A taxi driver in Cheltenham complained that his wife was a werewolf.
Okay.
Yep.
That's kind of a
Now,
fair one.
I
Just forgot
think,
to shave.
I think this might have been a joke one. A man called police to ask the Ghostbusters because there's something strange in the neighbourhood.
I have heard that one, yes.
Yeah, I think that might have been a fake one. Obviously, this involved an official response by Craig Jones. You know who Craig Jones is?
No.
No, he's from the Gloucestershire Supernatural Seeker Society, who said it was a possibility that all these spooky signs were genuine. No, it's not, Craig. They're all bollocks. And instead, he said he would step up investigations in the county to try and counteract these. Which is all. I feel a lot safer knowing that Craig is out there trying to
See you,
solve
Craig.
this.
You're going to become victim to the witch's iron cannon.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that a lot of this didn't continue on to November 1st. So they don't include the 31st and the 1st.
Yeah.
Because the 1st being the Day of the Dead.
How many people naturally know that?
Stupid bastards. What I meant to say there was, just so you know, it's the Day of the Dead, November 1st.
There you go. Okay.
Let's play some Grim Fandango.
Right, so, first of our weird news stories. Okay. A man has been shot doing a hunt for Bigfoot. How you confuse Bigfoot with a man, I don't know. 3 people have been arrested afterwards. After a hunt for Bigfoot went wrong when a man actually shot his friend in the back. Accidentally in the back as well.
Got him?
I thought that they were going to say he'd been shot by a Sasquatch. Because that would have been something.
That would be interesting, yeah. That's a big twist. Well, the ironic thing is, where this happened, there's never been a Bigfoot sighting.
I guess it was in downtown New York.
No, it's in sure.
Not just any Bigfoot. He was shot by a stealth sniper Bigfoot.
Yeah, Oklahoma. But I just like the fact that you're going to go Bigfoot hunting somewhere where there's never been a sighting. Surely you go where the Bigfoot sightings are.
Next time they're going to say to me they were in, I don't know, they were in Mexico somewhere, and I was like, oh yeah, man, we were looking for Bigfoot. We figured he was hanging out with Chupacabra or something.
Yeah. It's like,
no.
Playing
I
cards.
wouldn't go. Yeah, it's like me saying I want to go wolf hunting in the North Sea. You know, it's and then claim someone dies in an accident.
I'm sure Sarah Palin's probably tried this.
Probably, yeah. Chap was rumoured supposed to survive. Omar Pandira, I think that's how you pronounce his name, who's 21, was arrested on suspicion of reckless conduct with a firearm and obstruction. I think it's pretty reckless to shoot your friend in the back, I have to say. His father-in-law has also been arrested after he threw his son-in-law's gun in the pond because he's a convicted felon. The father-in-law
brought him
is
to the conclusion that his friend was the Sasquatch.
I know. I mean,
You've been the Sasquatch the whole damn time.
yeah,
It's like a Scooby-Doo ending, isn't it?
yeah, it is. They pull the mask and it's Sasquatch underneath. And deputies, they also arrested the chap's wife, 22-year-old late Jane Pandera, on charge of obstruction, claiming someone else had shot her husband and her friend. The bit is the police quoted in this. It was, the aggravating part of the whole deal was that they dishonestly wasted several man-hours. Not the fact someone's been shot. The annoying thing was they wasted some time. The fact that some guy nearly died, that's perfectly okay.
It's America.
They wasted valuable Sasquatch hunting time.
Yeah, we were out looking for Sasquatch, bastards. We were on his fucking tail.
Yeah. Who's that? Boof.
In fairness, people do confuse me for Jesus a lot, so I could understand how some random fucking yank could get confused for Sasquatch.
Yeah, but they don't usually go. I don't think Americans would go hunting Jesus, not with a gun.
They might do.
No, a bit too Bible bashing for that, I think, most parts of America.
Stupid Americans.
Now, have you both got pension plans?
No.
No? No? Okay.
I'm going to be dead before I can even retire.
Okay,
really.
fair enough. Well, if you haven't got a pension, I know you can get a $500 a year pension. You know you do that? You need to become a police dog. Because police dogs in Nottinghamshire are now going to get a £500 a year pension.
Well, maybe Sasquatch do. Could have swung that one.
Apparently, this is one. Remember, we were elected all those police and crime commissioners, and we all said they were just going to be a waste of time. Well, this is the work of police and crime commissioner, who said that these dogs have worked hard their lives and deserve to be recognised. So they're now getting pensions.
Okay.
So there you go.
I can imagine a pimp saying that as well.
These girls worked hard their lives; they need to get paid.
I think he'd use the word dogs if he was a pimp. But you never know.
Yeah. Apparently, 6 dogs retire every year in Nottinghamshire.
Okay.
I didn't know that.
The fact that they get fed and looked after they've retired isn't enough.
Oh, apparently these are for vet bills. And to be fair, they're only given out on request for the vet bills. But they have 26 police dogs in Nottinghamshire. which means they must be replaced pretty darn quickly because it means a quarter of their force is retiring every year, which is worse than normal police, I think. New recruits are trained at 12 months and work until they're about 8 years old, which actually, if you work out percentage-wise, is actually worse than a human. So to be fair, they are perhaps earning their money better than most people. Or they've got really bad union, one of the two. Join a union, police dogs.
There you go, that's another top tip.
Okay. What would you do? How far would you go for Lady Gaga tickets? Or anywhere?
Let's see.
I think a better question would be, how far would Lady Gaga go for Lady Gaga tickets?
Well, let's see. A Navy officer has started passing on secrets. This is a US Navy officer for Lady Gaga tickets. That was his bribe.
Are you kidding me?
No.
It's from the Sun?
No, it's not from the Sun. It's from a reputable news source.
Right.
And it was reported on several different news sites. They can't all have copied each other.
That's what the internet's for.
Bit of plagiarism. You've got to have a bit of plagiarism. US Navy Command has been accused of passing it to Malaysian businessmen in exchange for bribes, including acts of prostitutes and Lady Gaga tickets. And basically what this chap was doing was he was passing information on ship routes to a Singapore-based company called Glen Defence Marine Asia Limited. And basically whenever he would divert, they would convince their vehicles to divert to these ports and then get charged ridiculous fees. So the chief for this company was able to make millions of dollars for fuel, food and other services to the Navy fleets. So he's now been arrested. He was apparently paying this Navy officer money and Lady Gaga tickets.
And prostitutes. I'm sorry, but I'm a little bit...
To be fair, Lady Gaga and prostitutes are virtually the same thing, aren't they?
No. I'm sorry. It sounds like I'm going to have some kind of experience in the area here, but I really don't think that a prostitute is... Lady Gaga, in comparison to a prostitute, I'm pretty sure that more people would prefer the prostitute than a Lady Gaga ticket. I'd probably... Like, seriously, if they said to me, right... Lady Gaga tickets, and you have to go to the show or slit your wrists, I would slit my fucking wrists.
Fair enough.
With the tickets,
Yeah.
just to be...
Just to prove a point
Just to face them so no one else could use
I
them.
died of a paper cut from Lady Gaga tickets.
That's how much you
That's
would.
a Sun News line, isn't it? Headline. We've now, unfortunately, there's more evidence that our robots are getting ready to overrule us and take control of the world. Robot developed by Japanese scientists is so fast it can win the rock, paper, scissors game against a human every single time. Okay, it is not psychic. It just reacts so quickly when it can now judge your shape of what you're doing with your hand in the form of what, paper, scissors I hastily add. It can judge what you're about to do with your hand and instantly work out the correct counter to it. And it does it so quick you can't actually tell. So technically it's cheating.
Yep.
So it's not really winning the game, it's just cheating at the game.
But it's just faster than you.
Yeah.
Stupid machine.
It takes just 1 millisecond, 1,000 to recognise what shape.
Skynet. Can you imagine Terminator 2 being based on rock, paper, scissors? Oh my god.
Yeah. Where is John? Well, it's John Connor, isn't it? Where is John Connor?
I'm just
John
waiting for
Connor.
paper. Oh my god. That would be a really creepy film. I was just going to robotics, actually. Someone told me the other day they've now... You know how they usually have custom robots for certain jobs?
Yes.
So welding and drilling and all that kind of box. I don't know where... I can't remember where the hell I heard this, but apparently they've got a robot that can actually operate regular human tools now. So you don't have to buy a specific robot. You can actually teach this thing how to kind of hold a hammer with a clamp and then...
But I thought one of the main advantages of robots is that you didn't have to build them to use regular human tools. You could build them to be...
No, but like you'd have to build that robot and then, like, so for example, if you wanted something to drill, but then you wanted something to use a spray gun, you would have to have either two separate robots or buy a specific part. Whereas this one robot can adapt and use regular tools. So you have the one robot that is able to learn and switch profiles.
We essentially have the first mechanoid driller killer on our hands, and then he starts building brethren to do it for him.
Yeah, and you can use any tool.
Dun, dun, dun.
This is it. This is the start of. This is the start of Terminator.
You can imagine that. Look, someone gets hammered in the face. No, it's not the same as the other
robots.
robots.
All we need to do is convince them that the way to wage war is through rock, paper, scissors, and then we need to make sure we've got the Janken robot on our side. And we're safe. If we can manage that...
I'm waiting for every country to now design a massive robot that can, do rock, paper, scissors, and all wars are going to be rock, paper, scissors based.
We need to pass on to Michael Bay for the next Transformers film.
That'll be like Pacific Rim, but in rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah,
with massive
Cage
robot.
manages that big explosion and then just like this big hand. Scissors.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Are they the stories?
They are the stories. I thought I've picked up before.
What do you think?
Mind blown?
What am I supposed to think?
I'd say that would be pretty much mind blown right there. They were. I'm sorry, just going back to the Halloween stuff was enough to make me think about what the. And then Sasquatch shootings, but it wasn't Sasquatch, just some random hairy American. But then again, you did say that the husband and wife were like about 3 years old and inbred and American. And
I don't recall that being in the notes.
I'm sorry, I'm filling in the gaps again.
I know they're from Oklahoma, but that's extrapolating a little bit too much.
Probably accurate.
Probably.
This is
Probably.
America. It is Oklahoma.
Yeah,
I mean, we could tie these
Oklahoma onto the
together
list.
and we can have a jank and playing robot that hunts for Sasquatches.
Made in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Perfect.
Maybe
Yep,
that's
right.
like the core of the Sasquatch cultural system. Rock, paper, scissors.
It is. That's when we've never seen one.
And
'Cause we
they've got robots. The Sasquatch is actually so fast.
yeah, that's the robot. Maybe the Sasquatch will be our saviour against the rock, paper, scissors robot menace.
That's gold. It's absolutely brilliant.
We basically have kind of a Godzilla movie in the making there. Like, mankind saved by one of
Sasquatch.
Earth's natural creatures.
Yeah, mankind saved by a high-speed Sasquatch.
Radioactive rock, paper, scissors
Yeah.
playing Sasquatch.
Yeah, bitten by a spider.
Bit by a spider on a high school trip to a
Spider
lab.
Squatch.
Oh,
Brilliant.
Perfect. Oh, fantastic. Well, this is another bumper long episode. Perhaps I think it's time for us to start wrapping up.
Yeah, let's see how long it'll take to edit this one. Woo!
Hey! Hopefully we'll get out for Christmas. Because we've
Skip it,
got the group called the Christmas special.
Yeah, this might be the Christmas special by the time
It's
I'm
not because
finished.
we've got well, I've Jingle Bells the Christmas special.
I might have to add Jingle Bells if it takes me about 6 years to edit this one.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm sure you got a special effect for that. Or there must be an add Jingles Bell filter on the system.
Add Jingle Bells.
Add Christmas frivolity onto the system. Onto the
Add really gay snow effect. I mean, they might.
Snow effect. That's what we got on a podcast, isn't it?
It'll work on the video side when they go to YouTube, if they ever go to YouTube to watch it.
I don't know if we've got any followers on YouTube, apart from me.
No. No one loves us on YouTube because we're too aggressive.
No.
And we offend everyone. Every time someone subscribes, they probably instantly unsubscribe.
Well, we
'cause
somehow managed. I presume the 5 subscribers we did have must have all come from either Norfolk or America.
We'll drop one subscriber and that'll be the Sasquatch.
Yeah, we haven't offended Sasquatch. We haven't insulted them.
No, we haven't. That's true.
Yeah,
We've missed something
We respect
there.
Sasquatch.
We
We
do,
respect
yeah,
you.
no,
if
yeah.
you want to come be a guest on the podcast, that would be one. Hell
We
of a way
won't
to-
try and shoot you.
You know, that would be one hell of a way to reveal it to the world, wouldn't it?
Come
If
on,
Sasquatch
Chewbacca.
exists. He's on our podcast. Wouldn't that be fantastic?
That'd be a hell of a troll as well.
Right then, so how you can find us? Well, if you go to randnerds.com, that's our website, you can find us up there. You can email us at randnerd without the s at gmail.com.
Stupid Google.
Still Google. You can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/randnerds. You can follow us on the Twitter by searching for randnerds as well. And even on Facebook. Can you guess? Can you guess what the Facebook name is called?
No.
Billy Bob likes bacon, comes from Oklahoma and shoots his mate because he's an inbred fag.
That was working title. We changed to Ran Nerds on Facebook as well, so you can follow us there. But if you stick to the website, 'cause that's why only place I can bother to update. To be fair,
Wow, that's dedication to it.
yeah.
I can only
Yeah.
just be bothered to update the website.
Well, the website does it for me. We've got a Google Plus page, but again, that Google won't release the API, so I can't update that easily.
You can't be bothered to actually go to Google Plus and update that. So.
Oh, yeah, basically. But yeah, so email us, please. If someone email us, all I'm getting at the moment is spam.
Has someone email us?
Yeah, I can't. I keep hoping time I see it pop up, and I think, oh, maybe that's someone asked me about the podcast. But no, it's just another person trying to sell me like a timeshare somewhere.
Or Viagra or prostitutes
I've
or
not
Lady Gaga tickets.
No, yeah.
Nigerian money scam.
Yeah, 419 scam. We ain't got any, so I think perhaps we could email back an Nigerian scam and see if they'll give us some money.
Yeah.
Maybe we could give Nigerian scammers some coverage. Come be on the podcast.
Yeah, come be on the podcast. Yeah, by all means, come join us.
That should be funny if we do have Nigerian prince knock on the door.
Yeah.
Why does everyone think I'm taking the piss? That's
Right.
like the 8th sign we've had in like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Well, thank you very much for listening. I've been Nicholas Jackson.
I'm Luke Roberts.
I've been Adam Thorn.
We didn't
And
kill each other.
We didn't kill each other. We're still here, and we'll hopefully see you on the Christmas special.
If this isn't the Christmas special.
If this isn't the Christmas special.
In which case, Merry Christmas. Or whatever it is that you choose to celebrate, you fucking festive bastards.
Oh, what a lovely way to end the podcast. Only person can bother